Through the concrete cracks worn weary by work boots and high heels. Through the concrete cracks showered in tears of sorrow, tears of joy. Through the concrete cracks rumbled by reverberations of 100 years, a flower on the hill takes its first breath, and a grand hope springs. Welcome to the Spring Street podcast at the intersection of creation and destruction in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. And now, a word from the sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by Starship Kairos, a podcast studio available for bookings in downtown Los Angeles. Starship Kairos is where my guests and I make this show happen. Soundproofed, cozy, and equipped with professional audio gear, Starship Kairos is an ideal location for any type of podcast. Starship Kairos offers a full suite of services including content consultation, mixing and mastering, and custom jingle writing. For rates and booking, check them out on Instagram at Starship Kairos or click on the link in the description. And now, let's dive in. Welcome to the Spring Street podcast in Starship Kairos here downtown LA. So
sweet, thanks.
It's so crazy. Like, one thing that I really enjoy with this podcast is the spontaneity of like some of the people that I've brought on.
Yeah.
So in our particular case, mutual connection that I still haven't even met, but then it turns out we have like a whole world in common.
The same world, yeah.
From the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Like we could probably talk for hours about all the stuff from the Willamette Valley. But I don't know if everybody would find that as interesting as we would.
I don't know. I might give myself away.
Exactly.
Reveal some secrets the PM Dub doesn't need to know.
Oh, man. But there's so many other things that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Van life, tattooing, maybe even some Burning Man stuff.
Ooh.
I mean, there's a lot. So let's start with the van life.
Okay.
How long have you been doing the van life for?
So I've lived in my van for a little over 2 years now.
Nice.
It was like start of COVID. I'd been traveling a lot before COVID happened. I was kind of doing the whole like back and forth international backpacking traveling. Would come home, work, save money, and then like go. And I wanted something that like sustained me a little bit more. Opal, please. I wanted
a third guest on this
third
podcast
guest
today.
For four-legged fur creature. So
a massive four-legged creature.
Anyways, so I was like, okay, the van life was a thing on my radar for sure. Lots of people I knew had done it, and come lay down. Once the pandemic hit, and it was just kind of like, what else? Like, I needed to just like do something. I had a partner at that time who we had like talked about doing van life together, and then he ended up moving to New York. He was a nurse and like did nursing stuff in New York, and he like started by living out of a camper that he kind of built when we were living together at like the beginning of COVID. And so we had kind of talked about doing it together.
And that was in Oregon?
That was in Oregon, yeah.
Okay, cool. He went to New York during COVID?
Yep, yeah.
As a nurse?
As a nurse.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's
just
intense.
like, yeah, crazy. But it was crazy times, and it was like really good money, and he was going through a lot. I was going through a lot, and he ended up going over there and just kind of like starting the vehicle dwelling journey. And then I was like, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm just here alone now. I was working in coffee at the time. So we never like stopped working. So I had a job and I was like making money. And
where were you working at?
I was working at Dutch Bros.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dutch Bros.
Yeah. Shout out to Dutch Bros. The second cult I've been a part of.
People
sure.
are obsessed.
They're obsessed.
I don't understand it. I'm not going to lie.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
we can talk about it. So I then just like kind of started telling people, I was like, I'm going to do the van thing. Like, I'm just going to save up. I'm going to buy something. I'm going to like build it and do it. And I kind of did it. And nice.
I'm glad that was the.
Opal, you got to stay over there though. All right. Yeah, and I bought a van. I like had help from people around that knew vehicles and stuff, and I don't go through that way. Yeah, go around, detour.
What was the first van? What was the van you got?
So the first one I bought was like a Chevy Express.
Okay.
It's like it used to be a wheelchair transport vehicle. It was a Seattle transit bus, and it had already been kind of built out by a guy who just like took it up to the mountain. He was just like a snowboard bum. But it was like not well built out. But everything that I wanted size wise was it, and within my budget. I didn't have a huge budget, and I wanted to like be able to stand in it and
That's
like
huge.
have a big bed.
Yeah.
And I also really like clothes and fashion and stuff. And I was like, if I live in a van, like I don't want to give up certain things that like make me feel like me. So I wanted like a certain amount of space and things. And it has like a little kitchen space and stuff. So yeah, it was like, it was just, everything was new and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just kept being like, I'm doing this. And people helped me along the way, and ended up buying the vehicle that I wanted, and
Which
gutted
was what?
it.
What
The
kind of
Chevy
vehicle?
Express.
Okay, that was the one.
That was the first one that I got. And it's like, it's bigger than it's bigger than yours. But it's not as big as like a schoolie. Not quite as big as a schoolie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Chevy Express.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I don't know how long it is actually.
I'll just like
yeah,
I feel like I need to look up a picture of
really
this.
quick. There's pictures somewhere. There's pictures on my Instagram, I'm sure.
Let's see.
But it'll
Chevy
come up as like a
Express.
van. It's like a weird backside to it. I don't know. It's like it literally looks like a white short bus. My dog's gonna
Okay, this was what I was
tug-of-war me
thinking
away.
of. Kind of like that, right?
Yeah, but it's got like a bigger back. It doesn't
Okay.
look like that. That's like the front part in the engine.
And you could stand up in it?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. I can find photos. Here, let me do some digging.
Chevy Express bus. Oh, wait a minute. Is it kind of like this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
So it had like the
It's
like
got
school
the
bus doors
It's got
kind of?
schoolie doors, yeah.
Okay. So it is almost like a schoolie. Very
Yeah.
similar. Okay.
Similar.
Sweet. So
Yeah.
that was the one you
That was
set
the first
your-
one. That's Guinevere. That's Gwen.
Gwen.
Yeah, and then built her out, had a friend help me, a few friends help me. I have like no idea how to do any of that handiwork stuff. But
When you got it, was it completely empty or
no, it was like built out but not well. Like
So you had to redo
it was
a lot of stuff.
fine, but we gutted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gutted it. Used a lot of the material, honestly, and there was still some like decent stuff in there to like the stove that was in there before is still in there, and
Nice.
the like battery system and stuff. So there was some things that I like
That's cool.
gotta just be like, okay, I guess this is how the van life thing works. Like this is what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I lived out of that for 2 years, and I've kind of like, I started in Bend. My partner at that time like came back to the Pacific Northwest, and we ended up out in Bend together for a summer, and like met a bunch of other people living out of their cars, and you know how
Yeah.
it goes. It just like,
Bend is the van life mecca.
it's crazy.
There are so many people
Yeah.
living there in their vans.
Yeah, we used to live out in the Dust Bowl. That's what we called it. I
Oh.
don't know what it's actually called, but it was like the place in the forest, like the BLM land where you could park out of town.
Whoa, I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
mean, I think it
sounds-
still exists, but like
And just everybody
there were
squats
so
out there and
many
just-
people out there. Yeah, and you could even go into town and stay. Now, absolutely not. Like Bend is there's signs and shit everywhere about you know, limit of parking and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So it's, I think it's changed, but that was also like during COVID, so it was like crazy times then.
Yeah.
It was wild. Like, yeah. Yeah.
So you're in Bend, you got the dream van, and were you living in it with your partner at the time?
No, he was in his own
Okay.
vehicle. And then we ended up splitting up I ended up dating someone else.
Yeah.
Ran off with that person, and he was also another vehicle dweller. And it was I left Bend after, as like, what year was that? So 20, was it? Oh man. COVID started 2020, right? Yeah. So it would have been like late summer of 2020 when all the fires went crazy in Oregon, and there was like all that stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot going on that year.
A lot going on that year. Yeah. The world was like burning. And I ended up just like heading east because the smoke was so bad. Like we couldn't live in Bend. We couldn't live. Yeah, just like Oregon was like smoke. And so we just started heading east. And I was like going through a crazy breakup, and then like had a new partner. It was just kind of like, I guess I live on the road now, just had to leave. Didn't really know what was up or where I was going.
Yeah.
And ended up, I had done tattooing like here and there and everywhere, just like for fun. I kind of like started picking it up and taught myself a little bit by just like practicing and tattooing myself. And that was like years ago, but I had done it a little bit here and there. I was doing it a little more once I was in the van because I just like had time, and that was something for sure in that community like people thought was cool, and they were like interested in it, so they'd be like, oh, you should like practice on me and stuff. So sick. I did that, and once I started heading east, like everything just kind of like fell into place. I had a old friend from high school that was like, if you come out to Colorado, you can stay with my wife and I at our place, and like we'll pay you for tattoos and come and hang out in Colorado and like see what's up. And I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up going to Colorado, and then from there, obviously social media, Instagram, bless it, like other people were like, oh, I know that person. You're in like a town that's super nearby. You should come over and hang out and tattoo me and my homies. And so then I ended up in like a glass studio in the mountains of Colorado, like tattooing people for a week. And then I ended up in
like a glass blowing studio.
Yeah.
That's
the
a
dudes
very
were
small
glass
world.
blowers, and
I have a friend who's a glass blower.
Cool.
And what I've learned about that world is like everyone knows everyone in that world.
For sure. Yeah. The glass blowing world is small world. Yeah.
There's a shop out in Redondo Beach.
Yeah.
And there's this guy who I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if you also somehow knew this guy, or he would definitely know the people at that shop.
Yeah.
His name's Joe something.
What's the shop?
Oh man, honestly, I don't know the name of it. My friend is just one of the glass blowers there.
Hell yeah.
But they do really cool work.
Cool. So. Yeah. The glass blowing community is definitely some of my people.
Yeah. Have you done it?
I've never done it. I have a really good homie out in the desert that's is a glass blower and has like a studio out there.
That's cool.
I've kind of like messed around a little bit, but never.
I should connect you with my friend who blows glass, because I feel like you guys would hit it off.
Hell yeah. Sweet. Yeah. And I just kind of like kept traveling from there. And then all of a sudden I was like on the road and tattooing. And I was like, I guess I'm a traveling tattoo artist. And then
that's sick.
I've pretty much done that for the last 2 years. And then Gwen broke down in the desert last May.
Yeah.
Gwen is my bus, my baby, my home. And we've been on and off ever since. Yeah. She's had a lot of new transmissions, and I've kind of been here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
And traveled without my van, without a vehicle. Also like flown some places,
for tattooing?
For tattooing.
Sweet.
For sure. I've gone up to Portland and like Seattle a couple of times since being out in the desert. I have like a pretty good client base up there because that's like where I started.
Yeah. Do you
basically.
tattoo out of shops when you go up there, like guest spots?
No,
Or?
I usually go to like homes.
Cool.
I'm working on the more like legit side of things. There's a shop I'm probably going to be doing some work at out in up in the high desert, so out in like Yucca Valley.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, kind of like still in like a weird period of like regrounding and trying to figure out what the deal is with living on the road and not having my own vehicle right now. But like,
do you ever live out of your van, or do you ever live out of the bus? The old
it's still in the shop. It's been like in and out of the shop. So like I've taken it on a few adventures here and there, like went up the coast and did a San Francisco trip and stuff, and then like came back to the desert, which has kind of been low key like home base for the last year.
Where do you keep it when it's not in the shop?
I'll at friends' houses and stuff, or like out on BLM land. There's a lot of BLM out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places to just
a lot of space in California.
A lot of space. Yeah. So don't go that way, Opal.
So now you have a new van though.
Yeah, loaner, but still the home for now. Yeah.
Does this van have a name?
This does. It's Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Bonnie's
a beautiful van too.
Bonnie's a beautiful van. Bonnie was painted by a wonderful lady out in the desert named Bunny.
Okay.
So Bunny made Bonnie. And she's a muralist and a dear friend of ours and in like my community.
Yeah.
And yeah, Bonnie brought me and my friend Jenna to the burn.
Sweet.
So she's been to the burn quite a few times.
What was it like going to Burning Man, doing the van life? Like, did it make it easier having a van?
Yeah. So I was in that at that point, my bus was broken, and my friend Jenna, who I was living with, you have something to say, baby? My friend Jenna is the one who owns the van. She had just bought the van for the burn from Bunny.
Whoa.
What a mouthful for the burn. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. And so that was the vehicle that got us to the burn, and that was what she stayed in at the burn. I was in a tent. So it was me, Jenna, and Opal. Mm-hmm. Opal's my large dog, unicorn dragon creature
who keeps making little cameos on this.
Yeah, she'll pop in here and there. She's like, "What are you guys doing?" Anyway, so we all hauled up to Nevada, to Reno. Mm-hmm. I dropped Opal off at a friend's place in Reno. And Jenna and I went into the burn. She dropped me off at my camp because we were camping separately, and then she went to her camp.
Nice. Do most people stay in tents at Burning Man, or do people?
It depends. There's a lot of different ways to burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me all the ways to burn.
Yeah,
I'm trying to burn.
Totally.
So.
Yeah. If you're in a tent, you don't want just like your average everyday tent. You want you need a canvas tent. Like you gotta like have real good stakes. A lot of people, if you go with burners, like the burners will always provide, because they know these like weird little detailed things that you kind of like need at the burn. Mm-hmm. But it's not just like your average camping. It definitely would help to have like a vehicle. A lot of people do trailers. Another route is a lot of people will rent like big box trucks, like U-Hauls, and then they'll just like throw a living room or a bedroom in the back, sick. Pretty much, and then like have that. You gotta like put up a lot of shade structures. I mean, they build a city. It's a city. The place is unreal. Like even my camp that I was at, I didn't really know a ton of people. I was kind of like, I got in by doing a job for what are you on over here? I mean, everybody contributes, right? So like I had a task and a thing that I was doing for like the group of people that I was camping with. And like if I had just gone by myself, I mean, I was still prepared, but there was still a lot of things that I really relied on my camp for, and that were like, you just don't really realize that you need. But that's also part of like the burner way, is like everybody contributes somehow, and everyone's a part of it, and you just kind of like figure it out together.
Yeah. And but did your camp have a theme?
Yeah, we were. So she might press some things. Oh no, Opal, you can't lean on that.
Let me see. Let me just make sure that we're still recording here. Oh yeah, we're still recording.
We are live. Oh my gosh. Opal just wants to be involved in everything.
Oh, hey, buddy. You are so adorable and so big.
Yeah, she also loves a camera. So she's like, I don't understand why the camera's not on me. Huh, baby. What's over there? What were we talking about?
Theme.
Burning Man.
So you're
I was
Burning
with
Man, camp at a theme.
Yeah, we were like with a larger camp, and then within our camp, I was with a group of people who were fire performers. So they were part of the fire conclave.
Okay.
So when the man burns, it's a big circle, and everyone does like a fire show before, and then the man goes up in flames, and it's like a whole ceremony thing.
Yeah.
So I did like I was visual arts for them. So I did like face and makeup and stuff like that for their performance.
That's cool.
Helped with that, and then did like some fire safety stuff. Opal, come on, man. You don't need to talk right now.
How did you get connected with that camp? Like, did you just know somebody?
One of my good friends, Lisa Dang, who's in Salt Lake City, she is a performance artist on a lot of different levels, and she was a part of this like fire crew.
Yeah.
And they were going to the burn, and she's like one of my like festy, just like really dear friends, adventure buddy. And she was like, I think if you want to come to the burn, like we got a spot. Hey, come lay down, please.
Opal,
it's time to sit. All right. Here, chew on that. Remember this thing? Yeah, so that was how I got involved in the burn. That was pretty cool.
And it was your first time, right?
First burn. Yeah, it was like everything made sense. Everything made a lot of sense at the burn to me.
Yeah. What was something that you weren't expecting that you experienced there?
Something I wasn't expecting.
Or what were you surprised by? I mean, did you have any kind of like ideas going into it?
I really went into it with like pretty zero expectations. Like I was like, I'm going to Burning Man. Like I've got a few jobs that I know I need to like be present for and aware of. And other than that, I'm just going to kind of like let myself go and like be free and live my life. So yeah, I mean, I had a lot of friends that were going. I knew other people at different camps, definitely like have been in that community for a long time. Obviously, like living on the road, you meet a lot of burners. So I had like, in a sense, you can write down like addresses and stuff of where people are camping or certain events that are going down. And you can try to plan as much as you want. But at the end of the day, like you just got to let the burn kind of take you.
Yeah. What were some of the coolest things you experienced there?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Nice.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Craziest experiences. I mean, I danced next to P. Diddy one morning. That was kind of a weird thing. That was pretty fun.
That's wild.
You just kind of like, it all runs together. There's not a lot of, let me think. It's like all amazing. I think the thing that I love the most is there's so much it's so playful. There's so much play to be had.
Mm-hmm.
I like climbing and like adventuring and exploring, and it's such a place to like be playful, and there's not really any rules. Like you're just kind of out there running around, and you can like make of it what you want, and you can like, you see an art piece and it's amazing, and if you saw that like in a museum or somewhere, usually you can't touch it, or you can't like, there's rules around it, but it's like most everything you can probably climb it, you can interact with it, you can like there's just so much to do, and you can absolutely not do everything. Like you could spend a month out of the burn and like not see
There's
everything.
a lot of people, right? Isn't it like
it was
70,000 people or something like that?
I think this year or last year it was like almost 100,000.
Wow.
Like I think it was the biggest burn.
Crazy.
It is crazy. It's a city. It's a whole city.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then at the same time, like, I mean, I was running around on Playa in the middle of the night. I had been partying for days and was up with some friends, just like cruising around. And then I'm in like the middle of deep Playa at some crazy art structure, and then all of a sudden I see.
What does that mean,
Playa? So like the burn is like set up. It's round. Black Rock City. It's essentially like based off of a clock. So you have like a big circle.
Okay, I think I've heard that.
You've got the city like this. It's almost like a horseshoe. And then the rest of the circle, that's all Playa. That's all the Playa.
Oh.
And you're actually closed in at the burn. Black Rock City, around the whole city is what's called... Oh, man.
She's getting comfortable. She's trying to figure it out.
She's such a leaner, man. She's just like such a leaner. She's got to have like some sort of snuggly contact. You can lean down here, man. Come on, Oops.
So there's like a thing.
It's surrounded by what's
City?
Called trash fence.
Trash fence.
Trash fence. And so like trash fence comes around the back of all the camping.
Okay.
But then out on the Playa side, so like the middle is empty. That's where the man is.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like goes out, and this is like deep Playa way out here. And you can eventually make it to trash fence, and trash fence is like,
sounds like being in a video game.
It is. Yeah. You know, there's art pieces all the way out through the Playa, and you could spend all week out there just exploring the art installations out there. And the deeper you get, the weirder it gets, for sure.
Yeah.
But man, it's wild.
Like,
but you don't go past trash fence. Is
it actually a fence made of trash?
No.
Okay.
No. But it's like that plastic, what's the like construction fence stuff, like it's like chain link, but it's like plastic chain link kind of. Yeah.
It's like orange, and it's
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's like cops. Like there's cops that could be within Black Rock City, but then they also like are around the outside a lot.
Interesting.
And it's just like desert out there, so you don't. Yeah, you don't go past trash fence.
Yeah, it makes me think of Westworld.
It is a little Westworldy.
Like you just kind of show up, and the further you go from the center, the wilder it gets.
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's more dispersed, so you're like out of the city, but you can come across like these crazy art installations. So you're just like, whoa, someone was out here and like built this whole huge thing. And it's just here.
So I met somebody at Schoolypalooza who he was on a team of people that built some just crazy vehicle creation for Burning Man.
Oh yeah.
And this thing, they had like they used as a base some kind of old military vehicle that was kind of like a scissor lift, and then they put this Star Wars looking vehicle on top of it. And it would like raise up, I don't know, 10 feet, 15 feet up, and all these people could party on top, and it was just the most
art cars.
Insane looking thing ever.
And that's like a whole other thing. I mean, you could spend all of the burn just hopping around on art cars.
Yeah.
I went to the burn and I never got on an art car once.
No.
And they're like everywhere.
Why didn't you get in our car?
I just never wanted to. I don't know. I just it was like a whole new world of exploration that I just like wasn't ready for. I wanted to be in it more.
Yeah.
The art cars are very like, it'd be fun to like get a crew together, go on some big art car for the day and like party for like a certain set of a DJ or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't organized enough for that either. So I was just kind of like there for whatever came my way, and there was never an art car that I was like, I want to get on that.
Did you have a bike?
Yeah, I had a bike. So you're also on bikes. Some art cars will carry your bike and some won't. And like ditching a bike at the burn, always a gamble. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I did one night on foot though. That was interesting. Very different experience of the burn because you can't just like rip around. I mean, it's huge. The place is massive. So it's a lot more intimate when you're walking. You can only like make it so far. But it's cool because you're also, you don't just like pass things by. Like when you're biking, you're just like, oh, that's cool. But we're like going here, But when you're on foot, it's like...
It's a different experience.
Yeah.
I love riding my bike, but I also like going places on a skateboard or on foot. I feel like each way slows you down to a certain degree where you just notice things you don't with the other experience. Like on a bike, you can go far fast and you can kind of get like a layout of a place and be like, oh, I want to check that out in another time, or like, but then when you're on foot and you're just, like sometimes I'll just walk around just to explore, like downtown LA.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Just like when you slow down for a second, I think what I don't like is being in a car exploring. It's too much of a hassle. You gotta like pull over, find a place to park. You're missing things. When you're on foot, you're just like, you walk past something, you're like, I've never seen this before. I'm gonna just go in and check it out.
I love running.
Running's great for that too. Running is awesome.
That's
for that.
like definitely a way that I've found myself exploring well. Van lifing is like I just stop off, find a trail.
That's cool.
Or even through a city or a town or whatever. Like city trails are fun, like town trails, river runs, stuff like that. That's like nice to kind of, I feel like I can like navigate better once I've like done it on foot. Like roads are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because you're like paying attention to more, like you're like operating a vehicle.
Yeah. What's your favorite city that you've stayed in the van?
I love San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah.
And okay, because
it's not super easy in a van.
I am slightly terrified of my van getting broken into in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
you gotta be in the right places.
What are these right places? Yeah. Give me a map.
Whenever I've been in San Francisco, I've stayed outside of like friends' places, that are like pretty quaint, little quiet neighborhoods. Potrero Hill is one of those spots.
Potrero Hill. It's
kind of like out and it's above and over. It's hard to explain without like a map, but it's you're always parked on a hill in San Francisco. There is no flat. Flat doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it also like it can become annoying. But more than anything, like finding just like a good chill kind of quiet spot to park. And that's I was blessed with meeting someone. I met her at Umpqua Hot Springs in Oregon.
Oh, sweet.
When I was just traveling there one time, and she's like my San Francisco mom now. She's just like the best. She's a burner. She's just like old school San Francisco, raised her son there and has lived there most of her life, and also has like traveled a lot, and she's a musician, and she's wonderful. So
you had like a pretty good point of contact for
point of contact. Otherwise, like I don't really know. I would say like, you could probably do short-term stuff outside of like parks and things, but I guess I've stayed in a couple of other spots in San Francisco, but again, like neighborhoods where I had a house to kind of like pop into. So at least, you know, I would sleep in the van. So I'm there overnight. So I'm not like worried about it in the middle of the night. Cause if someone tried to break in, you know, that you're in there. Also her.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty huge.
Big dog. People don't mess with that.
You, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any situations where you didn't feel safe sleeping in the van?
For sure.
What was that like?
I had a time when I was in, where was I? I was like NorCal coast. What is that town? It's like the last town of California before you get into Oregon.
On the coast?
On the coast, on the one.
I don't know, actually.
A lot of meth.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're getting close to Oregon.
Yep. Yeah. So I was down there. I'd been camping. It was actually right after I'd done that piece with Silas. Mm-hmm. We ended in San Francisco.
Also, just quick shout out to Silas.
Yeah, like, shout out to Silas.
I hope I get to meet you one day. Don't know where you are.
He's great. He's in Arizona.
But
Arizona.
Sweet.
Yeah. Silas is great. Thank you, Silas. That was the connection here.
Yeah.
Silas is a videographer, very talented filmmaker. So, yeah. Anyways.
Sweet.
Silas.
One of these days.
One of those days. One of these days.
So you're in Northern California, coast, a lot of meth.
Yeah. I was in like this weird little parking lot that kind of like went out onto the ocean at this beach. Mm-hmm. There was a few other nomads there. Thankfully, there was one. He was an older gentleman. I can't recall his name, but he had like kind of like old retired vet vibes, just like super sweet. Lived out of his van and more camper style, and just like traveled up and down the coast. And he was just a sweetheart. And I ended up kind of connecting with him and stayed out there for a few nights because it was a nice beach. And it was when I first arrived, I was kind of like, this is a place like during the day, it feels good. I don't know if I would stay here at night. But then once I met him and there was another gal that was also parking up there, I was like, okay, I feel like I've got like a solid crew. Like it feels fine. Mm-hmm. And I had been there for a few days. There was definitely people that would like come down late at night in little beater cars and like do drugs. And
Whoa.
Like there was some, like you could see it, but nobody really bothered anybody. But it was definitely like,
just made you feel uneasy.
Yeah, a little uneasy, but nothing terrible. Mm-hmm. And then one night, the sun, it was like sunset. I was in my van making dinner. And Opal was really young. So this was before, she's like pretty protective of her space now. And she's pretty scary when she barks.
Yeah.
She's also deaf, but she like.
Really?
Yeah, she was born deaf.
Oh.
So she like doesn't hear, but she'll still bark if she like feels uncomfortable.
Interesting.
But this was before, I think, that like instinct. She was still very puppy. So she was just like asleep on my bed, and some guy, total crackhead, like just very, very on in another place, came into my van and
your van.
and he was hiding from people like that were following him, right?
So you're cooking.
I'm cooking.
And he comes into your van.
And he's just like, blah, 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 they're after me, all this stuff. And he's like, I need like this. And I'm just like, what is going on? But I also couldn't like, he wasn't being aggressive towards me. It wasn't like, I'm here to like steal your shit or anything like that. It was just like, it was very obvious that he was not in the same headspace or a sober like mind. But he wasn't like aggressive or anything. So I was just trying to like be really calm because I didn't want to like set him off and be like, get the fuck out of my van, you know, but like also get the fuck out of my van.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And so I ended up just kind of like chatting with him and like being very calm, and then like got my food together, got
You're trying to cook while this is
I was just
down?
Like finishing up and like got my keys and like I was like, I'm going and I'm gonna go like around the corner and I'm gonna eat. And my homie was like over there around the corner waiting for me to come like eat and watch the sunset with him. So
yeah. Well, how'd you get this guy out of your car?
So I because I was leaving, I was like, I gotta go. Like you can't, like, he was hiding. You can't hide here. I'm eating dinner now, blah, blah, blah. And got him out, and then like closed all my doors, locked all my doors, and like came around the corner, sat down, and he kind of like followed me around, and then
my God.
explained what happened to my friend, and he eventually was just like, hey, you're making my friend uncomfortable, and like you really need to leave, dude. Like you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And he did, and he eventually left, and I don't think he ever came back, but he like lingered for a while, and it was pretty weird.
So you stayed there for
But I
more
ended up
days.
staying there for more days, and I like again.
So you
there
weren't
was more
shaken up enough to be like, I got a piece out of this town.
Yeah, for sure. There's been some other times some weird things have happened, but never like, I think I've definitely like pulled up to a couple places and just like not stayed. Just like felt
bad vibe.
It wasn't right, or I just didn't feel comfortable.
I feel like you got to trust that gut.
Yeah.
Like if you feel weird about a place, then maybe not.
Totally.
There's other places to park.
Yeah. And before I had Opal and I did it, I'd been traveling all over the world solo, and just like it didn't really faze me. And then I think once I was in the vehicle and like did more of the all your stuff's in there, like all your home's in there, it's just like it becomes a little bit different. And that was before I had Opal, so I kind of was like, okay, like I did feel comfortable before I had a dog, but I've been to places where now looking back, I'm like, I don't know if I would have stayed here if I didn't have Opal.
Yeah.
And not that she's like a dog that's going to mess anybody up, but she's just like scary enough that people don't really
I feel like
mess with that.
I feel like, I mean, I guess there's a lot of different circumstances, but I can imagine that somebody who is going to break into your car, give you trouble, is maybe like in one of two categories. Either they're looking for something quick without any resistance.
Yeah.
Or they're out of their mind.
Yeah.
So if somebody is like looking for just an easy option, no resistance, as soon as they see, a dog, it's like, I'm going to find a different car to break into, because there's plenty of other cars.
I have to pee.
That don't have dogs. Yeah, that's fine. Let's take a little break.
We
back
are
and gonna have
back in caffeinated.
The last time I shook this, it kind of exploded.
All right,
so I feel like
let me show you.
You got the skills, the trick.
You got to do like. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh my God.
That was my ego took a hit there.
That was perfect. That was beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Well, you gotta like protect it a little bit more than that. Maybe that was.
I think maybe I shook it up too much.
I think I went into it with too much confidence. Is truly what happened.
You got it though. Okay. Cheers. Cheers to some nitro, some B Sweet. Shout out to B Sweet.
Shout out to B Sweet. It's great. Also, no dairy, no sugar.
I know these guys are incredible. They're good friends of mine.
Sponsored by B Sweet.
Trying to. We'll see. We'll see. In the works. But they were generous enough to give us some coffee for the show.
That's awesome.
I had a whole box up there.
Thank you, B Sweet.
Yeah. So. And
you guys be so sweet.
Got to stay caffeinated.
Oh my God. So I'm just like.
I'm so bad with coffee. I can drink cup after cup after cup for the whole day. When you worked at Dutch Bros,
too much.
Just constant coffee.
Constant coffee. I would like go. I liked working the morning shifts because you like get up, you go, you have your morning, you work, you get like all the social interactions you need.
Oh yeah.
And then you drink a lot of caffeine, and then I would just go run. I'm a runner. I like running, and this was like during COVID, so I would literally just like I'd be so caffeinated, like I couldn't go home and just not do anything. I had to just
got to do something with all that energy.
Like, I gotta run.
Did
so
you
I'd just run for hours?
Work at one of the Dutch Bros that just has like a never-ending line?
Sometimes, they do end, even those ones.
That just blows my mind.
Yeah,
when I drive
there'd be
past
like
that,
shifts where we would like
why?
back up the main road. Like it was madness.
One of my best friends, he shout out to Landon. He just opened a gym in Northern California.
Nice.
I think it's called AA Fitness.
Cool.
I should probably check on that. But he's obsessed with Dutch Bros.
Yeah,
I've
bet.
never understood it. He's obsessed.
It's a cult.
Yeah, the thing was, growing up in Newburgh, there was a Dutch Bros. There were a couple Dutch Bros.
Yeah, that was my franchise that I worked for.
The one in
Shout out to
Newburgh?
Hawkins Crew.
No way.
Well, they're owned by the same Ryan Hawkins.
Okay.
He owns like all the ones down 99, Newburgh,
the 99.
Tigard, Beaverton.
Dang, little empire.
He's got a little empire, yeah.
Man, did you ever know somebody named Brandon Gilliard?
Brandon Gilliard.
Yeah, we
That
grew up
sounds
together.
So familiar.
And he worked at Dutch Bros for a minute.
I have a friend, Brandon Johnson, who worked at the Newburgh Dutch, and we like literally know each other because he asked me out to a concert in the line, and now we're friends.
Amazing.
Now we're homies.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say though is, growing up in Newburgh, there's so much coffee.
There's
there's
coffee.
so many good coffee shops.
Coffee and church.
So,
and wine.
yeah.
Coffee, church, wine. Welcome to Newburgh.
Which is ironic considering the fact that Newburgh used to be a dry town.
Yeah.
For a long time. And I think Fox was a big influence on that
Fox is a very dry place.
in
dry place,
in
dry campus.
More ways than one.
yeah, so many ways.
Oh God. If we don't help ourselves, we're definitely gonna continue down this like reminiscent conversation of like,
yeah, people are gonna be like, "What's happening?
Like, what are these guys talking about?" Shout out to Newburgh, Oregon. Shout out to all the people back there.
If you've been, you know.
If you've been, you know.
It's like the most churches like per capita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the world record at one point. I have a lot of things to be thankful for about growing up in Newburgh. Because despite the heavy fundamentalist evangelical religiosity within that town, it also really fosters the arts.
Yeah.
And music and like
Indeed.
there's a beautiful arts culture community there. And then also too, there's like a thriving like the local business world. Like, people support local business in Newburgh. People were all about encouraging people to have these little business endeavors. And like it's one of those places where you still can have like little bookshops and little coffee shops,
it's like
clothing stores,
very family bill. A lot of like local people just like doing their hustle.
Yeah, selling their illegal milk.
Oh, all the illegal milk.
Man,
yeah.
I wonder if it's like that in...
Don't give away the homeschooler's secret.
That's right. I wonder if it's like that in California.
Illegal milk?
Yeah, I'm sure there's also laws about milk.
I don't know, but...
We grew up drinking that illegal milk. That's why we got strong bones.
That's how we know each other. We were in the illegal milk mafia.
It's so wild. What's funny, too, is like... growing up in a kind of a conservative world, conservative evangelical world, the things that were taboo, but then conversely, like the rules that people were willing to break, like, when it comes to milk,
I mean,
when
it's
it comes
religion.
to food,
you just pick and choose. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Well. Anyways, we can close that chapter for now. That's a dangerous chapter to go down. One thing I wanted to ask you. So, you've traveled all over the world. You've talked about like solo traveling, also like living in your van, solo. And I'm always really curious about like women who do that, because I have friends who are women who are like, hell no.
Yeah.
I would never travel solo. I'm not trying to get murdered.
Yeah.
And here you are, you're still alive.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of crazy shit in this world.
Totally.
So, like, I'm really curious about your perspective on like being a woman traveling solo, and what maybe advice or tips that you would have for people who like want to like. It's one thing if you don't care about traveling, then whatever.
Then yeah, don't.
But I feel like it's sad if you want to travel and you feel held back.
Yeah, like limited by something that's not you don't choose, I guess. You're just you just are that. You know, I was really lucky to be blessed with nice.
This is why I should not be videoing this, because it would just anyways.
We got it. You're on camera. It's definitely I traveled at a really young age. So that's like, for starters, the first time I traveled to East Africa, I was 12 years old.
Wow. What part of East Africa?
Uganda and Kenya.
Oh, crazy.
And that's where my dad like did his mission work.
In Kenya?
Yeah.
Did you ever know a missionary family?
Probably.
The Aronsons?
Aronsons. Ooh, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah, one of them, his name's Sheldon Aronson. And he wrote like kids books about like missionary kids in Kenya.
That's crazy. Probably so. My dad probably knows him.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm gonna crisscross my applesauce over here. Yeah, so I grew up, like, my family lived in a motorhome for a while and traveled across the states, and
that's pretty cool.
We were homeschooled, so like a lot of traveling just integrated into life and learning. So I feel like I was like really equipped with the skills and knowledge of just like how to travel, and you know, having a passport and your ID and like figuring out your ticket, and then just like navigating airports and train systems and like public transit, and just kind of like traveling, just like doing it. And I for sure had to learn as I did it more on my own and by myself, but it was for sure something that like it felt pretty easy to me because I had done it, and I had like also been equipped with like the skills and the knowledge of like certain places and certain things that you have to watch out for. And and so I mean, when I first started on my own journey, I was when I moved to Australia. So after I graduated from college, one-way ticket, visa, Australia, backpacked around there. I did that with my sister. And that was like a huge time where I think that if I had been by myself, there could have been different outcomes from there. Because I was I might have been like too ambitious. You know, I was just like, such rose-colored glasses. Like I just was like, I want to go and see and do it all. And I really did learn a lot from my sister in that year. She had like done some years abroad on her own, or like living with a partner and stuff like that. So I kind of had some learning from her, and I think it could have been different if I was by myself, for sure. I did a lot of growing up in that year, and then like the years to follow, and we like traveled together, and then I kind of started doing it on my own more. So again, like I felt like I had a good base under me by the time I was like going off by myself. But I still do, like when I travel, a lot of it feels like I'm going and meeting other people. And once you start traveling, that world just keeps expanding and expanding.
Totally.
So I went to Europe and just went and stayed with a friend's family and lived in Italy for a while, and like
that's sick. What part of Italy?
We were in like Bari mostly, so like southeast, like heel of the boot kind of.
Oh,
but
crazy.
I mean, I did like Rome, and I did some good Italy spots. But I
hear that people get friendlier the more south you go.
South, yeah,
in Italy.
yeah. Oh my God. Sicily. I wanted to stay in Sicily so bad.
Yeah.
That place was like...
I really want to go. I brought a chef onto the podcast who's from Sicily.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. He probably makes such delicious food.
Oh, yeah. His food's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like as a woman traveling, you know, don't be scared. It can be intimidating. But I think the like biggest thing is just like know where you're going and know what you're like, have some sort of idea. I'm not a planner at all. Like I'm somebody that buys a one-way ticket and I just like go and I figure it out. Yeah. And that's how I prefer to travel. Mm-hmm. And you can do that. But there's also places that I would never go and do that solo. And I just like know that I couldn't and I shouldn't.
Yeah. What's one of those places?
I would feel like, you know, probably like Middle East area would maybe not be like the greatest. And maybe that's like, I don't want to like make judgments on places and just like say because of this thing, like blah, blah, blah. It's just, there's places that I would be a little bit more, I feel like I would need a little bit more structure around going there to like be comfortable. So there are still limits to it. I've like thought about going down and driving through Mexico and being in my van. And that's
going
like
to Baja?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go to Baja, but
Really?
I mean, probably eventually, but
yeah. Where would you want to go in Mexico?
I don't know. I mean, I know friends that have gone to Oaxaca.
I want to go to Oaxaca.
Yeah, I
so
love
bad.
Oaxaca.
I've never been.
I hear Mexico City is pretty
I used to live there.
fun. Okay, cool.
Briefly. Very briefly. It was like a month and a half. But
Sweet. You still live there. Yeah. But that's like some place where I think I would prefer to at least have like a travel buddy. And I think I could do it on my own. And also, would I want to do it on my own? Maybe. And I think I could, but I just like, I don't know. There's just like certain things where I'm like, I would rather have somebody. And I really have done a lot of traveling with like people always kind of coming and going. There's still like a time that you're by yourself and you're still like doing your own thing. And that's really valuable. And I love that solo traveling. There's like a lot of magic in that. But even in those times, like I would end up not being by myself a lot because you meet people wherever you're camping and you meet people like in the hostels, and soon your worlds just start colliding and you're seeing the same people, and you kind of like find yourself in your own little network of travelers.
Yeah.
So it's like, it seems scary, and it's really, it seems like there's always somebody.
Yeah. I feel like you're never alone for too long. Like you might be alone in the beginning, you know, or for part of it. Like you might be alone when you're in the airport or the bus station or like kind of in transit. But I feel like usually when you get to the place you're going, or maybe all along the way, like there were plenty of times, like when I went to Schoolie Palooza, I didn't know anybody who was going to be there at all. And I show up, and then literally the first night, I'm already making friends with people. And then the next day, there's like people parked around me, and we ended up like, you know, doing some kind of a meal together later on and hanging out and becoming good friends. And actually like a few of those people have actually come through LA now and been on the podcast.
Yeah.
And same thing too, like when I went to Europe, I went on my own, and the first time that I went on my own, and along the whole journey, I was just continually meeting people, whether it was like on the ferry, you know, from Dover to Calais, or Dover to London to Cologne. You know, you meet people that are like on the bus with you or on the ferry, or like, and then you're together for a little bit, and then you part ways, and then you're alone again. But then you meet more people, and you're so. But it's,
and then those people start knowing the same people.
Yeah,
that's always weird.
I've discovered that in the van life.
So many van life connections.
Like it's a small world.
Yeah.
And especially, so now that I've gone to Bend, like there's a lot of people who are kind of just in the same circuit.
Yeah.
And I've seen people that I've met in Bend, I've seen at Schoolie.
Yeah.
I feel like there's people who just, they know other people in that world, and it's
totally.
So yeah, you definitely start seeing a lot of repeat faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
In those worlds. So yeah, but I think it's also scary no matter what, the first time you do something unknown or unfamiliar.
Yeah, it totally. And you just like, you got to be smart. Be aware, listen to your gut always. Like if I feel uncomfortable or like nervous or like if anything, just like even if I'm going to a friend's house and going to park up outside, I'll ask them, like, is it flat? Is it safe? Like, do people get broken into here? Like, what's the, is it street parking? Am I in your driveway? Like, just kind of like once you get to do it more, you learn the things that you need that like make you feel safe and secure. And as long as those are there, then it's going to be okay. And there's like always someone that's going to help and all that stuff. And then, sometimes like the worst that can happen is you're somewhere and you get a knock on your van in the middle of the night or late at night and they're like, hey, you can't park here.
Have you had that happen?
For sure. Yeah. I just had it happen the other day.
Oh, no.
But I fell asleep. It was...
Where were you parked?
I was coming from Bombay and I was in like Indio. So we had been out of the Binyale, which is like baby Burning Man rave thing on in the desert. And went to get some food with a friend, ended up like going back to the van, smoking a joint, having some hangs, passed out. Neither of us had slept the night before or like very minimally slept. Passed out and then woke up to like someone knocking on our car door and he's like, you can't park here, you can't sleep here or whatever. And we're just like, what? Like, thought I was passed out for like maybe an hour or so. I'm like, the restaurant's probably still open. Like we're just in a parking lot. Like no, there should be no problem. And then like open my eyes and like look out the windows and it's like the whole place is just empty. And looked at my clock and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And security guy was like, you can't park here. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I've been knocked on at like certain parking lots. A couple of times like on the one. But most of the time, people are pretty nice and I've gotten a lot of like, hey, you can't park here, but like if you go down the way and over here, there's like a spot where you can pull off and blah, blah, blah. And that's totally fine. No one will bug you.
Yeah.
That could also be like a perk being a female. That's something that I think people are a little more likely to help you and also like not think that you're like a weirdo in a van parking outside in their like neighborhood with their children, And I'm sorry to like make that, I guess,
if that's
assumption.
If
but
those
like,
are the stereotypes people are operating on, then that just is the reality.
Yeah, I'm a little less threatening.
Yeah. I think that's probably pretty accurate. So
yeah, but most of the time people are nice. There's definitely places
I've only had 2
where...
knocks.
Okay,
but not in this new van. On the old van.
Right.
So my brother and I, we were living in a little Mazda MPV, and you could just like look into it and like see us like sleeping in there. Like we had some curtains, but like it's pretty obvious. So we had a couple knocks. But that was in the early days when we just had no idea.
Yeah, you don't know like where to go and how to do it.
Yeah, with this new van, I haven't had any knocks, but I feel like part of it is that it's stealthier. Like if you looked at it, you might just think it's a utility van.
Right.
You might even think it's an Amazon van.
It does kind of look like a little like delivery guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've also thought about this too. If somebody knocked on my van, they can't see me in there. So I could just not do anything. I could just stay there.
Not respond.
Just be quiet.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to go away because they're not going to just
Yeah, or they'll write you a ticket or something. I've gotten ticketed before.
I had a ticket one time while I was sleeping in the van.
Yeah, for sure.
It was crazy because
for sure.
I was supposed to meet up with somebody to go for like a little skate, and then they ended up bailing on me. So I was like, oh, I'll just sleep in. I forgot that I had parked where there was street sweeping because I knew I was going to clear out of there.
Bummer deal, the street sweeping, man.
Yo.
Look at you every time.
Okay, so I was in Phoenix recently.
Yeah.
And Phoenix is dope for van life because there's just way more open space and room. And I was downtown Phoenix, no street sweeping signs.
Yeah.
I was staying in this like art district area called Roosevelt Row. No signs at all. You could just park there. I mean, probably not indefinitely. Like somebody might eventually be like, what's this car doing here for like a year? But you could probably park there for a long time. And like, I didn't have to move my car at all. I could just get out on my skateboard, go to the coffee shop, go to like a little market, go to the gym, go to like
nice.
Bars and restaurants. Like everything was there. I'm definitely going to go back to Phoenix and spend a little bit more time out there.
That's where Silas is. Go meet Silas.
I'm coming for you, man.
I still owe Silas a tattoo as well. So Silas, maybe I'll come for you too.
Party in Phoenix.
Party in Phoenix. Tattoo party.
I was surprised by Phoenix.
I'm not a big fan.
I'd been there years ago. I was on a tour. We played a show at like a little dive bar in Scottsdale, which is funny because at the time I thought that Scottsdale was like the shitty part of Phoenix. It's like the bougie part.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We were just at a shitty bar.
Yeah.
In Scottsdale.
Nice.
I think I low-key had a concussion for that show. But I hit my head pretty hard.
Oof.
Playing a game of pool, funny enough. It's like very strange.
What were you doing?
There was like a pole beside the pool table.
You just walked into the pole?
And basically, I
hate when I do that.
I think I was like celebrating. I think I like had made a good shot and was like whipping my head up to like celebrate and just smashed it on this pole so hard. And anyways, so yeah, this time around in Phoenix, I was pleasantly surprised. Like I just met a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
Got it. I feel like going to places, your experience can be so tainted based on just like one thing. But when you find a really cool spot, you know, like I just found a really cool spot of Phoenix. I met a lot of cool people and I was like, wow, Phoenix is so dope. Like, also Arizona is beautiful.
Arizona is beautiful. Sedona, you done the Sedona
Not
life?
yet.
All right.
I need to.
It's fun. It's like Disneyland. So like,
damn.
Definitely.
How so?
It's like, you know, like just real, very touristy. And there's like, you got your like downtown Mecca and you've got like pink Jeeps everywhere. And like people are just like going off into the desert to like go and look at the rocks and stuff. It's just, it's busy. And then it's also like off one way. There's like a bunch of BLM land. So it's really easy to like van life out there and just come into town. And it's just like, it's pretty navigatable for the traveler, for the van lifer. And then, you know, there's just
some good climbing
touristy.
out there too.
There's definitely some good climbing there.
So I gotta get out there. Do you
Are
climb?
you a climber?
I am. Do you?
Yeah, same.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I grew up climbing. I haven't climbed in a long time.
Yeah, no, we talked about that briefly.
Yeah.
Because you said you used to go to the circuit.
I used to climb at the circuit. Yeah.
Is that
Shout out to the circuit.
Is that the one that's kind of by?
There's a few of them. There's one in Bend now. Started in Portland.
Okay.
There's one in like southeast. There's one in northeast. There's one south in Tigard, where I'm from, like down the road from my house. And then there's one in Bend. It's just bouldering though.
There's a
Planet Granite.
Planet Granite.
That's one in Portland. There's also Club Sport.
I haven't been to any in Portland, but there's one. This is okay. I can't believe I'm forgetting what this place.
Where is it?
Okay, there's like a little mall area where there's like a Barnes and Noble and Apple Store and PF Chang's.
Is this in Portland?
It's outside of Portland. What's that place called? It's called Oh my goodness.
The mall, PF Chang's.
It's not like a mall, but it's like there's all these stores. There's a movie theater.
That sounds like a mall.
I mean, it's like a.
Is it
like
Washington Square?
No. It's wow.
Where is it?
It's
Google it.
It's off the I-5.
All right. Of course, it's off the I-5.
This is embarrassing. Like this just goes to show how long it's been since I've been.
Where is it?
It's Tigard or Tualatin.
It's got to be. It's not Washington Square.
No,
Bridgeport.
Bridgeport.
Oh yeah, Bridgeport Village Club Sport.
Is that?
I used to work at Club Sport.
Crazy.
I used to work at Club Sport when I was in high school.
That's the climbing gym.
Yeah, it's not Club Sport anymore.
Okay, and it's close to Bridgeport.
Right by Bridgeport, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
That is. It was like, for a while, it was like the highest climbing gym in Portland, like the tallest.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of a different one then, because there's a bouldering spot.
Oh my God, it's even small. Is it a small like closet place?
Okay, I just need to look. on a map real
no,
fast.
it's right near Bridgeport. That's one of the circuits.
That's
it's
what I
just
thought.
bouldering.
Yeah. That's a circuit.
Yeah, there's 2 climbing gyms over there.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
cool.
the Tigard one.
I've been there. That's the only place.
Cool.
The circuit bowl. Okay. Yeah,
that spot's great.
So that's where you went climbing?
That's where I climbed a lot when I was home.
Yeah, in Durham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got a lot of homies over there.
Sick. That's a fun spot.
Yeah, met a girl named Abby there when I first had my van, and she was like one of the first people to pay me to tattoo her.
Nice.
That was great. She's a homie. We've done some stuff together. She's a photographer.
Let me see if this is still recording.
Are we?
Oh, sweet. It is.
Look, there we
it's
are.
Still an experiment. Okay, we're good.
I love it.
So I want to know about the tattooing side of your life.
Yeah. What about it?
What inspired you to get into tattooing?
I started tattooing myself. So I had a sister, one of my sisters who is an artist, older. I've got 3 older sisters. She gave me a hand poke tattoo when I was like a freshman in college. I came down on spring break. Mm-hmm. Stayed with her in Santa Barbara in the garage that she was living in with
Santa
2
Barbara.
of my friends from college. And me and my freshman roommate got matching butt tats, little teeny tiny tattoos, obviously, because it was like the needle, like India ink, like sewing needle kind of situation. Like it was
Solid.
like old, like it was like proper hand poke tattoo, like prison status, you know. Did that. That was like, oh, haha, you know, funny. Never really thought anything of that. Mm-hmm. And then later on in life, when I was in Australia, my sister and I had separated, had kind of like gone separate ways. She was like chasing some boy south and like went to some festival, and I was like house sitting and then was playing soccer for like a league up there. So I was kind of like, yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So I like stuck around up there, and I was like, I'm just gonna like stay put, and if you want to come back, you can come back, you know, whatever. Ended up getting a job and moving out to an island out in the Great Barrier Reef, and this place was like pretty wild. Crazy. I was like really alone, and like that was one of my first times like really being solo. Like I was like, my sister left. She might come back. She might not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm on an island with all these strangers, and it was like a lot. I had a lot happen that year in my life. So there was just, it was a lot. It was a time. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like had these moments of, I was a self-harmer, and I had kind of like gotten past that point in my life and didn't want to like return to that, but also like really needed some sort of outlet to feel in my body and like feel like I was present. I experienced like disassociation a lot of times in like really traumatic situations. And it wasn't that like things were like horrible. I think it was just like a lot was going on, and I felt like really displaced and like alone. And it was like, whoa, like you're just kind of here now and you have to figure it out. And you have to like rely on yourself and like be a responsible individual that like takes care of yourself and like takes care of your mental health. And it was a lot. And I kind of had thought about that, the things that I needed. And I was like, well, why don't I just put some ink into my body and like use a needle and just see what happens?
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I did my first hand poke tattoo out on that island. And it was kind of cool, and it served the purpose. And then I kind of like just kept fucking around with it, and very much was, again, like no tools that were like proper for tattooing. So sewing needle like shoved into the back of a pencil eraser with like ink from a pen, just super, super sus. But was still doing it, and like, would get drunk and party with my friends and like do ones on them, just like little tiny things and
wild,
just stupid stuff like that. And had kind of done it here and there. And I after traveling for a while, I ended up coming home, and I was living back in Oregon, and I knew a girl from college she was like posting on her Instagram that she was like doing the hand poking thing. And I was like, I've done it on myself and like in not a real way. And she's like, well, come over. Like I bought tattoo needles, and I bought like tattoo ink, and I'm like, I'm just kind of messing around too. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like, cool. I think I'll do that. That seems fun. So it like started as, just a curiosity after I had done it for like totally different reasons. But after a while, it became this thing where I realized it was really healing. Like it was such a modality. And for myself as like the producer of the art, like the giver of the art, and then also like the receiver. And once I started like using the right tools and things, I really was able to excel, and people would see the stuff that I did on myself that I was just kind of like fucking around and practicing, and they'd be like, that's really beautiful. Like, that's amazing when you do one on me. And so I, started being confident enough to do it on other people. And obviously at the beginning, you're not charging anything. So if you mess up, it's not, and it wasn't really like, it's not really mess ups. Like I've never really like, not true. I have messed up a tattoo, but it was fixed. That's a totally different story.
What was that person's reaction?
Oh man, we problem solved. Dear Robin, she is such a trooper.
What was the mess up?
It was a date, even worse. Roman numerals.
Okay, that's maybe a little bit better.
It was fixable, thank God. And we fixed it, and it was even better than it was originally going to be. But that was an oopsies moment for sure.
I feel like
but it was on both of us because I had drawn it out. I had written it she had looked at it multiple times. I had looked at it multiple times. Yeah. Like it was, and then once I was tattooing it, I was like, Robin, I fucked up. And she was like, you're joking. And I was like, no, like, what do we do? And I showed her what had happened, and then we kind of like problem solved from there, and we fixed it, and everything's good. But
that's good. I almost had a word missing on this long piece.
Oh man, what does it say? Oh,
it's from the
Bible,
from the Bible days.
Probably shout it out if feel no evil.
Yeah, I love it when people think that it's a reference to Gangster's Paradise. I'm like, yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, there was a word that almost was missing.
That's rough.
That we caught at the very end, and somehow he snuck it in there.
That's great.
So it happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think I I just excelled and I just kept doing it and I kind of fell in love with it. I'm somebody it was such an outlet for me. It was such a way that I could express myself, and I'm such an aesthetic person. I love that a human body is a canvas. And that comes to that goes down to everything. Like that's down to what I'm wearing, how I'm accessorizing, how that's a part of who I am is expression through my body being art and enjoyable to see and experience. And so I think tattooing was a part of that, to that person's wearing your artwork for forever. Yeah. So it's also it's a huge honor. It's a big deal. And as I continue to get deeper into my craft, I realize that more and more, how much of there's a lot of trust involved. There's a lot of intimacy, and you can also do tattoos in so many different ways, and it cannot be that. And that is definitely, I feel kind of old school tattoo culture, and there's a new culture of tattooing that's a lot more tied into a lot of tattoo artists will talk about mental health and tattoos being an outlet for that. And you can talk to a lot of people that get tattoos, and I feel like that's for sure something that a lot of people have in their stories, whether it's past self-harm or body image stuff. Tattoos are just it's a lot more than just pasting an image onto your skin to be cool or to look cool. Yeah. And a lot of people, that's why they're tattooed, but there's still plenty of people that really, they want to seek out the right artist. They want to get the right art. They want something that's new and different and unique. Yeah. And that's the most fun part of it, is kind of curating a piece of art specifically for one individual's body. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's such a unique experience. Yeah. Especially to have with another person, to relate with somebody on that level of I'm going to inflict a certain amount of pain and trauma to your skin to create this experience that is then going to be permanent for the rest of your life. Yeah. It's crazy. It's so interesting.
Yeah, you're it's really intimate. It really, really is.
How do you find your clients? Do people come to you? Are you
a lot of different ways? When I was kind of at the height of my traveling and moving around a lot, it was Instagram was a big way. Also, would kind of go into a town and have a place where I would be hosted, a space where someone was, whether it's a studio or the glass studio, or I've worked out of an art gallery or different people's just places and stuff. That'll be sometimes you can kind of have groups. So word of mouth and also through social media. Or, I'll be coming through a town and someone who's a local can post on the local Facebook page, and then people will hit me up from there, whether it's on Instagram or it's my phone number or whatever. Yeah. Instagram was the biggest way, I think, originally.
I feel like it's perfect for tattoo artists.
It is,
you're showcasing your work.
It's really great.
And people can just, if they like it, they can just hit you up, be like, hey, what's your rate? Do you have availability?
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And me being mobile.
Look who woke up.
Me being mobile, I think that was a big thing. And that still is a big thing. People love getting to be in their own space and getting a tattoo instead of coming into a studio and, having to that whole experience. It's different, and I love that. And I'm kind of like working towards having more studio space as I travel and like less kind of in home stuff. And but I still want to travel. Like it's just is going to look a little bit different as things are playing out with my van and
Are there any places that you really want to go tattoo? Like cities in particular that you want to
I would love to go to Austin. I know a lot of tattooers and quite a few like hand pokers, what a strange, like, that tattoo out of Austin. Austin seems fun. I've never been to Austin. There's places I would go back to. I would love to go to Mexico, do some travels down Mexico, Central, South America. I haven't done the East Coast really. There's places I'd go back to. I want to go back to New Mexico. Taos, that's a good spot. Where else? I don't know. I mean, I want to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Duh. I want to go back to Europe. There's lots of places in Europe I haven't been.
Yeah. Do you feel confident that as an artist, wherever you go, you can find work?
I think so. Honestly, I think so. As long as I have my stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like a matter of putting yourself out there and like putting your like I feel like the last few years I've been able to kind of like fly by the seat of my pants. I'm definitely a figure it out as you go kind of person, and that's like worked really well for me. And I feel like that chapter was really beautiful in like getting me started and getting me this like momentum of people that see something that I'm doing and like living in a certain way that just like really aligns with who I am and how I want to be a part of the world and like how I want to contribute. And as that's kind of like fallen into place, and I've like grown in my craft and in my work, I also feel like it's expanding right now. And like tattooing is always going to be the core, but also like there's so many other mediums that I'm kind of like stepping into and exploring.
Like what?
Performance art is like the biggest one right now. Yeah. At the Burn, I ended up getting to play with fire, and
sick. That's
just like, I was like, all right, I get it now.
Yeah.
I had like a custom, I had a toy at the Burn that started as like it was kind of like a funny thing. I got like a collar and leash from some like sex shop down in Palm Springs or something.
Yeah.
Super nice, like leather set. And I was like, this is so cute. I love this. Great. I'm going to bring this to the Burn. And I'll just like give people my leash, like my friends, to like hold on to me because I get a little wild out there. So, and that was kind of like, it was a funny thing for a while, you know, and I'd like give it to random people, and I like to play and I like get a little weird, get a little silly. So that was kind of a thing for a while. And then I had like a little like foxtail that I would wear. And then I started putting that on the end of the leash, and I would like kind of play with it and like twirl it and swing it around. And then I was with other people that did fire. And so we were always trying to find people to like burn with, and they had all their stuff. And we had a friend who did poi, which is like the two balls that you like spin. And he was like, do you want to put the poi on the end of your leash and you can like light it up and burn and like play with fire? And I was like, sick. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
So I did that, just like totally fell in love with that. And then from there I ended up getting a custom, it's called a rope dart.
A rope dart?
Yeah. So it's like, you can have different heads. You can have round heads. The pretty traditional one is like a monkey fist knot. So it's like a rope ball on a rope, and you like spin it and twirl it, and you can do all these crazy tricks with it and stuff. So I got one made by the what is it? Krusty Clowns, I think. Clowns in Portland. Some clowns in Portland made it for me. Yeah.
That's sick.
And it like attaches to my collar. And so it's like a little bit different than the rope dart, because the rope dart, it's usually like in your hands and you're doing all that stuff. And this is like obviously still in my hands, but the end of the attachment is like on a collar.
Whoa. Wait, so do you like use your neck to
You can, yeah, but I
around?
still like use my hands and stuff. Yeah. So I kind of like started stepping into that, and I've just I've done a couple of photo shoots and a couple of just like random projects and things.
Yeah.
I've done some like go-go dancing at events out in the desert. I'd
cool.
love to, my kind of like next project is trying to do work in festival scene with Opal. I think that would be really fun. I think people would like respond really well to her.
Like you guys having an act almost?
Either
or?
like an act. I think more with Opal would be of like a roaming character situation. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm a part-time clown.
Yeah.
So I think it would probably be a clown situation and like interactive, but just like hanging out with people, taking photos, having her like dressed up in some fun way, and just like interacting with people like that, being playful and just silly and stuff. And then that could be like a day project where you're just kind of doing that with people, and then maybe fire in the evening or something. I don't really know how that would all work, but
That's cool. How did you get into clown stuff? Clown stuff.
Well, there's clown schools. I've never been to clown school.
Whoa.
But clowning is a thing. I don't really know if I like do it right or not, but I don't know.
Is there a right way to clown?
I don't think so. I think clowning just is like just being, being like I have a clown name. My clown name is George.
Okay. George the clown.
George the clown. Yeah.
Wow. Isn't George, is he the kid in It? The kid who like dies in the beginning?
I've never seen it.
But you know the story, right? Because it's like the clown, like the creepy clown.
Yeah. I was scared of clowns when I was little. So I used to be scared of clowns. Now I've
this is the healing
become
process.
We circle back. Yeah.
So George the clown, that's your character.
George the clown. Yeah. I think it's just like a matter of stepping into like different characters and mindsets. And like I said, I'm an expressive person. So establishing these little, like, it's still me. I'm still always going to be me, but I have like these little outlets, I guess, where I can express myself in certain ways. Like tattooing is one of those. And I have like my tattoo ego, my tattoo person, and like my style and my way of approaching a project and a piece. And then there's kind of these other mediums that you can step into. And honestly, like tattoo to me is it's a form of performance art. The whole situation of it. You have one chance to like execute a piece.
Totally.
So
do you ever feel nervous about tattooing somebody?
I have had some nerves, yes. I'm a pretty confident person. So I usually just like, I've definitely gone into pieces where I'm like, this is a big project. This is a big taking on. And I think that's a part of being an artist, is you have to challenge yourself. And it is kind of a scary art form because it's super permanent.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm like burping over here. I think every time I do a piece that I've had to say no to pieces because I'm like, I can't. I just either I can't do it with hand poking, or I can't do it at the level I was at, or I didn't have the time or they didn't have the money that would like sustain the time that it needed or whatever it is. So I've definitely had to say no. But I've had projects where I'm like a little nervous in the sense that I just am like, I've never done anything like this before, but I know I can do it, but I don't really know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
But I just know my process and I know how to do what I need to do. And then how it turns out is kind of however it turns out. And that's also part of like the process of an artist where you're going to have pieces that challenge you and you're always right where you are. So like you have to do that piece and execute it and make it the best that it can be for that time, because you're always going to like continue to be better and expand. But I can't like look back on a piece that, you know, I remember being nervous or kind of having like, I don't really know how this is going to turn out thoughts. And now I could go back and I could execute it in a very different way and like have it be much more specific to like what I wanted or what I had imagined, but I didn't have those skill sets back then. So it is what it is as it is because of where I was in my journey of like knowledge and skill set. Yeah. So part of that is just like honoring your own process. And yeah, there's like certain people that I've tattooed where I'm like, oh my God, if I messed this up, like that would suck a lot. So you just don't mess up, I guess.
Why certain people? Like, what was the dynamic of that situation that made it seem like the stakes were higher?
Maybe like people that are also like in either people that are in other arts. People like, let's say maybe someone's a model or like somebody does video stuff or someone's like some sort of job that's they're on a screen or they're visual in some way. Like that's a little higher stakes, right? Because it's like, okay, you have that piece and those people are going to be seen a lot. And if that piece is bad or messed up, like that reflects you. Yeah. So I think that's like a little bit more where the nerves would come from. I've tattooed my mom.
It's so interesting because there's two things that you've said today about tattooing that are so similar to my friend who I brought on the podcast who tattooed me.
Yeah.
One was about like the relationship between like self-harm and tattooing and like the therapeutic kind of element there. Yeah. And the second thing is she also tattooed her mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about that experience.
My mom was just like, I want a tattoo. And she told me what she wanted. And I was like, cool, let's do it. My mom is she was probably in her late 50s at that point. She's in her early 60s now. Is she even 60? That would be terrible if she wasn't 60 yet. And I'm like, my mom's in her 60s. Mom, I'm sorry. I don't know how old you are. I think you're
ageless.
60. Yeah, ageless. Timeless.
I almost can't tell.
Yeah, she had like this, it's definitely like a spiritual piece for her. And it's something that was like really meaningful. And she had this idea and this image concept. And we kind of talked and made it came to life. She paid me for my time and everything. Like,
wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It was amazing.
Felt really emotional to tattoo your mom.
Yeah. I think at that point it was cool. I was just like, cool, yeah, I'm tattooing my mom. Yeah. I've tattooed all of my sisters.
Of course. If you have a tattoo artist in the family,
I haven't tattooed my brother or my dad. My dad says I can tattoo him before he dies. Actually, I think I put those words in his mouth. I'm going to tattoo him before he dies.
In his sleep.
That sounds, he's got to consent. I can't do a non-consensual tattoo on someone that's against my morals.
Oh, man. I don't think my parents will ever get a tattoo.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, it's their life and their body. Yeah. They're not into that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's all right.
My mom had like one tattoo before I tattooed her. Mm-hmm. and it was very small. So like the one that I gave her was like the biggest.
What was it? What'd you tattoo her?
It's like a tree on her forearm.
Whoa.
It was pretty big, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It also like, I think what I was getting at is the age and skin changes. Skin changes as you get older. And that's like something that, I had to kind of take into account, and I had never tattooed older skin. And we like kind of talked about that too, because she has a piece on her arm that like, you know, has a little bit of blowout in it. And like, that's just the part of it. Even tattoos that like age, right?
Yeah.
Like they change, and your skin changes and stuff. So that was an element that I was like pretty nervous about going into, because I didn't want to like fuck up my mom's arm.
Totally.
And be like, I'm so sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some things in there that I don't think I could have like changed it or done anything differently. But like, it doesn't, to me, I'm like, oh, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
do you ever feel when you're tattooing, do you ever look at a tattoo and internally think like, oh, I could have done that better, or like, I made a little mistake, or like things that other people wouldn't notice but you notice?
Of course. I'm an artist. Yeah. So much.
Does that drive you nuts, or like, how do you
just like, you gotta pass it. You gotta just like let it go. Again, kind of back to that like process thing. You have to like honor where you are in the process. Like I have friends that have really old pieces from me that I'm like, oh my God, we were like on mushrooms and I was tattooing you in like a teepee somewhere. Like, what were we doing? But that's also part of the journey, right? Like that has a memory, and that has a purpose. Yeah. And so like, there's those tattoos where it's like, you know, no strings attached. Those people knew what they were getting into, because I was just like, I'm doing this thing. I'm tattooing people, I guess. Yeah. And then there's like the ones where people, you know, they've paid for that, and I did my best. Yeah. And that's all that I can do. And I can look back on a piece and be like, wow, I could do this very differently, or I would do this very differently. But in that time, I couldn't, because that's what I produced, and honoring that, and just like being like, cool, wow, that was early on in my journey. Yeah. And then also like adding to those people. Like that's something, I've tattooed a lot of people multiple times, and I also have people that they like only have work by me, or like primarily by me. Wow. That's really cool. And that's really cool too, because I have these canvases that have like such a journey, where I'm like, oh my God, look, when we started, you know, I was only doing like things this big, and now I can do like a huge project and like nail it. Yeah. Yeah.
How would you describe your style?
Oh man. Well, it's hand poked. So I feel like lots of stippling. I mean, essentially it's all dots.
That's just a dot stipple?
Yeah. Like stippling is going to be like this.
You do that?
Yeah. This is all my work. Wow. This is all.
Yeah. That's incredible. It looks amazing, because it's like shaded with just dots.
Yeah. A whole lot of dots. That's like a nice stippling.
You look so cool.
You look so cool. That's my favorite song.
Too. That's all hand poked? That's all you?
Yep. Yeah.
Amazing. So cool.
I also have ones on my face.
I noticed those. Face. Those are cool, because they're very subtle.
Super subtle.
For people who can't see, it's like red dots that go around your eyes.
Yeah.
Because they almost look like freckles.
Yes.
And you have freckles on your face.
I've got a lot of them. So. Yeah. I know. You're like, what? She's got like a really cool freckle pattern.
Were you born that way?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I love to do face is a cool one. And I've done quite a few face tattoos. Damn. The hand pokes like translate really well, because it's a lot less traumatic to the skin. It's a lot, it's lighter. You don't have like a big old machine. You have really, you can do like these really poignant, like specific, super light and kind of like whimsical looking like dot and line patterns. So like a lot of people think face tattoos and they're like, oh, you get, you know, like blasted on the face and you just look like a crazy person. But it's like, no.
There's a lot of that in LA.
Of course.
There's a lot of that.
But yeah, I really like, I think the natural world is something that inspires me. So I feel like I do a lot of natural things, plants and animals and cosmic stuff. I don't really know like exactly how you would describe my style. I feel like whimsical is a good word. I've done a lot of pieces with like little stars. I go by the name Stardust Tattoos. So
that's right.
That was kind of the thing was like sprinkling stardust on everybody, like kind of just like giving them a little bit of magic.
That's cool.
I feel like my work is a lot of storytelling. So I really try to, someone kind of comes to me with a project, and part of that project is like figuring out the kind of experience that person is wanting, and what story they're telling and what it means to them, and like curating this whole experience around this art project. And that's definitely a part of what goes into my style.
So what is that process like when someone comes to you with an idea? And then like from idea to tattoo, what does that process look like?
Yeah. I think like it really depends. It depends on where I'm at and like what I'm doing, because sometimes I'll be at a place and I kind of try to do more flash-minded things, or like things that, I guess like if someone comes to me with a project, I usually can get a decent idea of what they want, and then I kind of just like, we talk about budget and time. That's kind of like the biggest thing, because you have to make sure that you feel like you're getting compensated properly for your time. And it's hard to like know, oh, this is going to take 4 hours. Like I could guesstimate pretty good now and like understand the size and all that kind of stuff. But those are kind of the details that you want to get to make sure that it's all going to kind of like fit with their budget and like also their limit. Like sometimes people think that they can sit a while for a tattoo, and they can't.
Hand poke's a different ball game.
Yeah.
It hurts.
So part of it's just like getting the proper information, getting the story, getting the meaning, and then just like if I'm in the same area as them, I usually like will just. It can be like an online conversation first, or like messages, voice memos back and forth. And then usually I like execute the whole thing like once I'm there for the day. Like I don't do a lot of drawings beforehand.
Okay,
I'll do like sketches and stuff. I have to pee again.
Honestly, so do I. So let's do another pee. Still recording. Wow, 10 gigs almost.
Wow. My goodness, Opal, this is so cute. Stay right there. Yes.
Aw.
Podcast studio dog.
Studio dog. I think I need a studio dog.
Ooh. You could borrow
dog.
Opal. Just take her in sometimes.
I might have to put a dedicated dog bed in here for her.
There you go.
Be content with the space.
Yeah.
What were we were talking about?
Processes.
And sketching.
Sketching. Oh,
you do like the day of is when
I prefer to draw onto like my canvas. I'm not I also, I didn't always have the proper tools for tattooing. So like a lot of people have those little printer machines and they use the stencil thing and then they do the print thing. And I have an iPad and I did the Procreate thing. And that's really hard for me. I'm such a pencil and paper kinesthetic like person. And because I'm doing my art on a human body, it's hard to translate something from a flat 1D surface and then put it on a body that like has all these different curves features and curves. And I studied the body in college, and
What was your degree?
I was a athletic training major.
Crazy.
So I have a BSAT.
BSAT.
Bachelor of Science of Athletic Training.
Wow.
Shout out to George Fox for letting me graduate. Yeah. So I liked what I studied. I loved the body and again, like the physical part of everything that I did, the like getting to be in the clinic and like working with athletes and human bodies. So it's kind of funny because like my degree kind of translates in a weird sort of way
into
of
tattooing.
like a knowledge of the body and just like muscles and skin and structure and all that kind of stuff.
Did you grow up drawing or painting? Or?
Definitely was like always really encouraged in the arts. Like always. I was homeschooled for pretty much my whole life until I went to public school my junior year of high school.
Whoa, what a transition.
Yeah. I was like Catty Heron from Mean Girls. It's like a ginger Africa homeschooled kid that went to public school. Seriously.
Wow.
They copied my life for sure. But yeah, that was a weird transition. It was fine.
Yeah.
I don't remember why we were talking about that or what.
Well, it's interesting I feel like it's so common for people to be put in boxes, especially growing up. Like you're a sports person or you're an artist.
Totally.
Or you're a nerd. Or, you know,
my family encouraged all the things.
Yeah, which is cool because I feel like that's actually kind of rare.
Yeah.
That, you know, you're this person who like you played soccer and you love running and you have a degree in like sports science. Medicine.
Yeah.
But then you're traveling and on the road and tattooing and it's very holistic. It's very well-rounded.
Yeah. And I found the other stuff, I think the art and the things that were kind of more outside of the box, I found those as I like let myself expand more. So art was always a thing that, you know, we were very encouraged and allowed to do. And my mom was always letting us do projects and, you know, like I wanted to repaint my room all the time or like make stuff. And my sisters and I were always making things and just like we had if you wanted to do something, it was definitely always doable. And that was a structure that was given to us by our parents, which was really, really cool. Wonderful. Yeah. And we always liked art and we did it growing up and it was fun. And I did art classes. I used to do like chalk pastel and that was a really fun medium. So definitely like I was also in theater. Again, like more as a homeschooled kid, you're able to do all those things. Like there's outlets for that. And so that was something that was really wonderful that our parents we were just always involved in stuff. And I did soccer because I loved it. And I just stuck with soccer because I loved it. And that was like the thing that I really like connected to and just like wanted to do. And that like made me super happy. And so the other things were there and they were wonderful. They weren't ever discouraged, but I still had like something that I was really connected to and loved. And then like as that kind of started fading and shifting, and I also was becoming more... I was able to step outside the box. I kind of like did all the things inside the box because that's just like the series of events. And I was continuing to do something that I knew and I loved, which was soccer. And that's how I ended up in college. And that's how I ended up doing all these other things. But as I met myself more, I let myself expand. And like kind of what you were saying, you know, you are either like a jock, you're a sports kid. Yeah. And then you just do that. And then that identity either you hold on to it and then you're the person that's just like holding on to this identity that like maybe doesn't match with them years and years down the road, or you kind of like let it run its course and be what it is. And then you continue to like accept and meet these new parts of yourself that like are new and different. And like when I was young, I was super tomboy, just never did anything girly. That was like the thing, you know. I play soccer and I'm a sports kid and I'm a tomboy and I like don't wear dresses and I don't do anything that's girly and like all that. And then I realized I really like wearing weird clothes and like expressing myself in a fashion sense, or I like, you know, finding shoes and doing makeup and like going to events that are more around dressing up and like all this other stuff and expression. And I was able to learn like these are all parts of yourself that you can accept and you can love and you can like add to and expand the box, right? And it doesn't have to be just this, but I didn't lose the identity of myself as a soccer player or like as a jock or a tomboy. Like I still have those pieces of me, but I'm also able to like accept the rest. And I think I've like done that through traveling and just like putting myself in places that you just have to like know yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a long journey to even meet myself and figure out what that was and what that meant. When soccer was over, that was like a huge identity thing that happened. And that was like a huge part of like my growing up, I feel.
Did you maintain that identity of kind of like the soccer player, like sports person through college, or was that transition beginning, like that expansion beginning to happen?
A little bit, I would say, but I really rode on that identity through college. Not super like against being like girly and stuff like that. I definitely was like accepting more pieces of myself in that sense as I grew up and was finding those pieces of me. But I was a soccer kid and I was also a sports kid because I was in sports medicine, and it was just pretty easy to have those things and those outlets because I loved them.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like, I wasn't stripped of them yet. And so it was still like cozy and comfortable, and that was totally my identity. All my friends were soccer and sports ball players. Yeah. And you know, obviously I had other friends too, but that was like a huge part of my community. And I knew that wasn't permanent or wasn't forever, but where I was and at that time, it fit and it was okay. And I was also going through more during college. It was more, rather than like identity stuff, it was a lot more like undoing of the religious stuff. And so that's kind of what was more in my face at that time. I felt like I didn't really like know myself super, super well, but I was trying to like get my head above water and like figure out what the rest of the world had to say. So I was doing a lot more questioning in like that sense during that time. And I was like a sports kid in the sense that, you know, we were always like partying and shit and being
at
bad
Fox.
kids.
No way.
No, I never partied at George Fox. Yeah. So there was like, and I also in college, I was like, I'm in college. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I just, I want to play soccer and my friends are here now and I get to play soccer and like, I can do that. I think it wasn't until Australia that I like really feel like I met myself and then started being like, okay, I didn't have anybody that was like, that knew me before. So it was like, you just like do what you want to do, be how you want to be. No one has any expectations or like understanding of what that is or what that, you know, even just like stepping outside of religious world.
Yeah. How long were you in Australia for?
I lived there for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you been back since?
No.
I really want to go.
It's amazing.
I've been dying to go. I've been thinking about spending the winter, like our winter,
Their
in
summer,
either Australia or Argentina. Just trying to get out
Go
of
to
this
Sydney
rain.
for a summer.
Yeah.
Oof, Sydney in the summer. Christmas. Chrissy at the beach. Yeah. It's amazing. I want to go back. I've always wanted to go back. I left. My visa was up and I was leaving a pretty like rough relationship. And so it was like time to get out of the country. And I've just, it never, like, I needed to go for sure, but I've always wanted to go back and like have been plotting how to get back ever since. But it's a long ass plane ride.
Are you very in the know of what the tattoo scene is like in Australia?
Not really. No, I'd be curious. I haven't really ventured into that scene. I think for more like large scale traveling, I want to get a little more shop time under my belt. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. Is have a space, since I am kind of based right now out of like the high desert area. And I'm consistently there-ish, consistent for a van lifer, I think. I want to like have a space where I feel like I can do my work and people can just come to me and I can kind of like learn what it feels like to have that shop mentality and like have a space, and just know the sequence of events that are expected, because I don't have any traditional teaching in the tattoo world. So it's all, I'm just doing it by learning.
Yeah. Are you mostly self-taught?
I am. Yeah.
You're completely self-taught pretty much?
Yeah.
Wow.
Besides just like hanging out with people and doing trades and like asking and inquiring. All self-taught.
Wow.
So it's I learn by doing. I can't, like, someone could tell me, explain a series of things to do and I'd be like, okay, but I gotta
I'm
see it, I gotta
way.
touch it, I gotta feel it. Yeah.
I'm definitely the same way.
Yeah.
So have you done any like guest spots at all at any tattoo shops?
I've done a few things at Love Always Tattoo, which is out in Yucca, and that's like a female run studio. The woman that runs it is a hand poke artist as well. So there's like a few hand pokers there. One person that uses a machine, I believe. And then they do a lot of guest spots. I haven't really been back there in a while. And then I'm kind of like looking at another space out there right now that I'm trying to do. And those are like the only shops that I've ever really like worked in. Otherwise, when I'm being hosted in spaces, it's been more of like non-traditional, but like a lot of art studios or like places that there's artists gathering, you know, like I could see myself doing something here. Like
we've done tattooing here before.
That's great. Let me know. Let me know.
It's been a while. Besides the podcast, like we used to do like tattooing events. Like it was music and tattooing.
I would love to be a part of that.
Oh, sweet.
Let's do another one.
You want to tattoo at an event on the 30th?
Of this next month?
Yeah, April 30th.
Hell yeah. Let's see what day it is first.
I'm doing a like a little artist showcase.
April 30th. It is a Sunday, so I work, but I just would have to switch a shift.
Amazing. You should totally come through. Hand poke is actually kind of perfect for that too, because it's like kind of an intimate, like quieter setting. And so I feel like with the machine, it can be a little bit intense.
Yeah.
But hand poking is perfect.
Super chill. Yeah.
That would be awesome, actually. That would be a lot of fun.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
I'll have my people talk to your people.
I'll have my agent talk to your agent.
Yeah. You'll just be on the phone with my deaf dog.
So cute. I'll sleep now on the couch.
She's a cute little baby.
Oh, man. Do you have particular artists that inspire you, artists that you follow on Instagram that you reference? Like who?
For sure.
Who are you inspired by?
this is bad, but like I'm bad with names, so like I'd have to like scroll on my Instagram and be like, this person.
Do you have anybody like?
There's one
like
in particular. I
favorite
believe they
tattoo
go
artist?
by Bloom TT, something like that.
Okay.
They do like these really beautiful, like large body, like ornamental pieces.
Whoa.
And that's like something that it's kind of a style that I'm wanting to be a part of more.
Large body ornamental.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's just like, it's like making jewelry on like a person that's
Kind
permanent.
of like your
like,
hand tattoo a
a
little bit?
little bit. That's very like rough, small scale. But yeah, like big chest pieces, or kind of like what I said, like face pieces that are like less like an image and more adornments. Body adornments is what I really love that. And I've been able to do that on some people and some projects, but it is something that's pretty time consuming. So it does take like a decent budget.
Yeah.
To like feel like my time is being compensated for. But yeah, I really like that style, and that I like the idea of it more as like body decorating rather than just like I'm putting an image on you.
Yeah. That's cool. There's an artist who I really like. I want to say that her Instagram is Sheed. Like SHE.D.
Okay.
I think she's out of Berlin or somewhere in Germany.
Cool.
And she does that kind of style where it's very like big pieces, but
it's like not a lot of
ornamental.
ink. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be heavy. Like it's like, yeah, I like that. It's like patterns, line, dot work.
Man, I also cannot remember.
Yeah, I'm so bad at
this,
names.
Sure. I'll find it at some point in time and put it in the link. Of
Yeah,
these
there's
things that were
also
mentioned on this
there's
podcast.
also some pieces, and I can't remember specific artists. I love like any sort of like big like blackout work.
Oh yeah,
but like
she does a lot of that.
Not just like, oh, my leg is blacked out, but like bodysuit things, like
where there's like lines and styles, and it like still utilizes like the exposed skin. And
a lot of
stuff is
negative
really cool.
space work, which I
stuff is
think
really
is cool. Yeah, and that's obviously you got to use a machine for stuff.
Yeah, I
like
was gonna
that,
ask, do
for
people
sure,
do blackout work with just hand poking?
I think that would be kind of silly.
That'd be insane.
That would be like real insane.
Take a long time.
Don't walk through there. That's lots of cords. Opal, come on.
Oh, she seems determined. She's like, I will knock down this camera.
Yeah, she would.
I'm impressed that she hasn't.
She's pretty good.
Yeah. No, she seems to
She's
know.
just
She like she walks.
clumsy.
Yeah. She's like, it's an accident.
Yeah, she
I'm sorry, Mom.
loves to knock things over and be in the way.
Yeah. So being in the van with a big dog, how do you navigate that? How do you negotiate that space?
It's a lot of like, oh, get out of my way.
Yeah.
A lot of like moving of her body just in other places. You know, she grew up in my bus, and the bus is definitely bigger than the van. Great Danes are funny. They're like supposed to be one of the best apartment dogs because they just kind of like chilling. As long as Opal has a comfy spot and she feels safe and good, like she's good. Troubles come in certain like weather situations. I found like, you know, you got to be careful leaving your dog in the van if it's like too hot.
Yeah.
And even sometimes when it's really, really cold. We've done some winters in Utah and Colorado.
Pick some cold places for some
Yeah, I'm a
winters.
snowboarder, so mountains, shreds. The shreds were worth it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so those have been some challenging times. And then also obviously like the really hot places.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of figure it out. But she's big, but I've also like she's grown up with me in the van. So I started with her as a little itty bitty thing, and she's 130 pounds, and she just is like this.
She's almost
big.
as big as me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She's a lot, but I think we've figured out our system, and I like know her well enough that I know what she needs when she needs it, and I know how she communicates with me, and she feels comfortable communicating with me, and like we have a pretty good relationship. But it can be a lot sometimes. It can be a lot, and it's also like I've had different partners on the road with me before, and most of the time they have like their own
dog
vehicles, sometimes own dogs. Yeah. And it also just like depends on the person. Like some people are okay with it and some people aren't. And that's just a part of what I signed up for like taking on this dog. I mean, she's also special needs, so she's got different things and different stuff, and just kind of like it's been a journey, but you just kind of figure it out as you go along. But yeah, definitely. I'm
curious about your bus. What are features of your bus that you really like? And then what are features that maybe like drive you nuts?
Right. Okay. I love my bed. It's a big old bed. It's like lofted. It's up.
That's sweet. What size of bed is it?
I think it's a queen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good size. Just like there's like a back window and then two side windows, so it's kind of like the mecca of like all these opening spaces, and there's a nice breeze that comes through when it's hot, and
sounds great.
Yeah, it's nice. It's cozy back there. I can like do stretches up on the ceiling. A lot of times I'll like do back bends and shit off my bed because it's like up, so I can like flip over and like stretch, and it kind of goes out into the hallway a little bit. So
that's amazing.
I love my bed. I like my bed. That's great. I love my closet. I have like a proper like wardrobe in there with shelves and stuff.
Sweet.
What are things I don't like? There's like, my fridge like never works. My fridge that's like the age-old story.
What kind of fridge do you have?
It's a Dometic, and it like works and then it doesn't work, and then it works and then it doesn't work.
Is it like a top-loading Dometic?
No, it's like a square. It's like and you open it.
So what doesn't work about it? Just doesn't
I don't
keep
know.
things cold?
I don't know. Yeah, it just like it like has stopped working. I haven't even bothered because I haven't been in it for the last like almost a year.
My fridge does some weird stuff too.
Fridges,
I've got it down, but I've had to learn, like, I have to do some funky stuff to make it work. Like, so I have a top-loading dual-zone ice co. So it's a fridge and a freezer.
Okay.
And they are kept, obviously, at 2 different temperatures.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, it will just go out of control, and it will send one zone to, like, -4, and then the other zone just basically shuts off. And it just gets hot. And so I've definitely had like things explode, like cans that like when it goes down to like -4, they like explode.
Yeah. Why are you putting cans in your fridge?
Like drinks, like
gotcha. I'm like, that's like the point of cans.
Like canned beans,
like,
no,
like shelf life.
Yeah, like putting like a LaCroix. I had like a ton of LaCroix one time. They all just exploded, and then like
Bummer.
I'll have things like go bad. But what I learned is like I have to unplug it. And I can switch it from AC to DC power. So like I'll unplug it and then switch whatever the power was. So if it was like DC, I'll put it to AC. and then it somehow like resets, and then I'll switch it back. I haven't had to do that in a while.
Okay.
But it's when it gets hot. I find that in the summer when the van gets hot, that's when things start to get weird.
Yeah.
That is a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I bet.
But lately it's been good. The thing right now that is driving me nuts is I don't have a place to put like my dirty laundry. So it's just like
you don't have a laundry basket.
I have a bag, like a laundry bag, but I don't have a place
sitting
in the middle.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Opal
so I don't
was laying on it, by the way.
I don't have a place for it, and so it just sits like right in the hallway, and I'm always like walking over it whenever I go like from the front.
You need a spot for that.
That drives me nuts. Not having a place for that.
Okay, we're gonna find a place for your dirty laundry.
Well, I still need to build. I need to build some cabinets. There's a few. I have room. It's phase 2 of the build.
Okay,
phase 2.
Phase 2.
I need to put some cabinets in. Yeah, excited. Just it needs to happen. One thing that I love though is I have a huge sink.
That's so nice.
Massive.
My sink blows in my van. Like it absolutely blows.
And that I knew that I was gonna be just so pissed off if I had a small sink.
Yeah.
I just knew it. So I went.
Yeah, it's
huge.
little. It's just like one of those hand pump things.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this on a podcast, but I probably pee in my sink more than I do my dishes in it, honestly.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I've definitely thought about like pouring my pee down the sink.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just because I have like a gray water thing and I'm like, well, it's
just pee.
You know, I have a toilet in my van.
I don't.
But
My sink
I don't like to use it.
Don't tell anyone.
I don't like to use it because it's kind of a pain in the ass to like empty it.
Yeah.
Because I was doing that for a while. For a while, I was sick. I was like, this is tight. I have a toilet in here. If I need to pee, I can just pee in the toilet. And then I had to like drain that thing. And it was the worst.
No.
So now I just leave it there for an emergency. And I haven't like had an emergency that really called for it. And part of me is like, maybe I should just turn that little conveniently sized box that fits my toilet into where I keep my dirty laundry.
Interesting.
Maybe.
So you're going to give up the toilet for a dirty laundry spot?
Because the thing is, I don't use it.
Oh, man.
I just don't use it.
I'm like, as you can tell, I'm like a neurotic peer. It's like all the time. Yeah. And if I can't find a place to pee, it's like game over. Yeah, it's this thing. Oh
that
my
is
God.
that is
so bad.
I feel like that is a bonding moment for all van lifers. Is like,
oh, if I have someone in my van,
where we pee, how we pee.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing.
Only few have seen it, but there are people that have seen it.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I have no other options. Don't judge
level.
me. I know you love me.
Intimate.
Don't tell
experience.
anyone that you saw this.
That's hilarious. Yeah, the gym. Very crucial part of my routine, having a gym membership to be able to,
that's good.
Shower, work out, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I also find that I'm more cautious about when I eat spicy food. Like I love spicy food, but I'm not going to eat spicy food if I know I'm sleeping in my van. I'm not risking it.
Like this is not happening.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah.
I think my body is grateful for
I'm
that.
sure it's really happy about that. Yeah. Yeah, that's the age-old question. People are like, you live in a van, where do you take a shit?
Wouldn't you like to know?
So many places, I've pooped in so many different places, actually.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's a hard one. And sometimes you're in a not a great situation if you don't have a toilet and you live in a van.
Yeah, there was only one situation ever that was bad.
Tell us.
This is a brutal story. This is a really brutal story.
I'm ready for it.
So, in the first van, I'm like, I'm going to tell the story, but I was debating in my mom, like, do I really want to tell the story?
I told everyone I piss in my sink.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Your
So
turn.
once upon a time, when I was living with my brother in the van, there was a period of time where like we were actually not like living together in it because he was like elsewhere. And so I was in the van, like my own that night, and I got food poisoning. And I was sick. Bad. Like I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, uh-oh, this is not good.
This ain't good.
And I was in the Trader Joe's parking lot because I
TJ's.
used to work at Trader Joe's.
Oh, you worked at TJ's?
And I was camping out in the parking lot.
Of course.
I was also not the only one.
Of course.
Who was working at Trader Joe's
and living in the parking lot.
It's a very dystopian world that we live in. Shout out to the economy in America in the 21st century.
Capitalism.
It was great though. It was a good time, minus this night. So, and I had just got this place. Like we were about to move in. I was about to leave the van life, like right on the cusp. I think I actually had it, but I was finishing out like a week or something at that Trader Joe's. You know, like I'm not going to go from downtown to the west side. When I have a van, I'm going to live in the van and whatever.
Yeah.
So food poisoning, wake up in the middle of the night, burning stomach. And I know a bad situation's about to happen. So I get out of the car and I'm debating in my mind like whether or not I have enough time to like make it to Ralph's.
Is it nighttime?
It's nighttime.
Okay.
Nighttime. And I'm like, can I ride my bike to Ralph's? Like, can I get there in time?
What's Ralph's?
What's Ralph's? Ralph's is like a big grocery store.
Okay.
Out here in LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. That means that you don't spend too much time in LA.
I really avoid
which is,
it at all
give you
costs.
props. I give you props for that.
I'm here because of you.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm honored. Yeah, well, like when we got to downtown, I'm like, welcome to downtown. You're like, oh my God, where am I?
Stress and anxiety.
It's a crazy place, but
I didn't have to drive, so it's fine. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I'm glad I could make it a little easier for you in that regard.
Just some stranger picking me up in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I'll pick you up in my van.
I did think about that.
Great.
Like as I sent you that text, I'm like, we've never met. Like, is she gonna be down for me just picking her up?
I sent my location to someone.
That's good, as you should, honestly.
I was like, so this is where I'm going. I'm supposed to be picked up.
That's why I followed up with like, this is the address of like where it is. Just, you know, but here we are.
Here we are. And I'm not kidnapped or murdered.
As I'm avoiding telling this story.
Yeah,
so
keep going.
anyways, in my deliberation of like what to do, I definitely just fully shit myself. Like like fully, like just it was a traumatic moment in my life. Like so sick, didn't know what to do, where to go. Like just standing in the parking lot in the middle of the night, just shit myself, and I froze. I just froze. I was like, oh my God, like what just happened? And yeah, pretty awful. Threw my shorts and my like underwear in the trash, like got naked in the parking lot, just chucked everything in the trash, put on something else, got on my bike, rode my bike to the 24-hour fitness that I was a member at, standing up the whole way. Like I wasn't sitting down on that bike.
Yeah.
Like that's a decent ride too. Get to this 24-hour fitness, and of course there were people working there who I knew, because like I knew that I was friends with like pretty much all the people who worked there.
You're just like walking back,
and I'm just like, hey, what up? Beelined it to the shower, took a shower, like, you know, cleaned myself up, got some fresh clothes on, and went back to the van, fell asleep, woke up the next morning to work a shift, I guess, and that was my last night in the van up until this new van.
Wow, why?
Because I had gotten a place. I'd like gotten an apartment.
Oh, gotcha.
I was like
Okay.
transitioning out of the van life, and that was the last experience that I ended on.
That's
in
a
the van.
shitty note.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because there were so many like fun, amazing, awesome experiences like you know, through that year that I was living in the van, and just so happened that the very last night was like food poisoning, no toilet. I'm in a minivan that's not a converted van, really. Just terrible.
That sucks so bad.
It's a very embarrassing story.
Well,
but
thanks for sharing.
Real shit.
Real talk, real shit. Yeah, for sure.
Since then, no spicy food.
And
it's been good. It's been fine. I haven't had that situation. I feel like when you live in a van, there's like a lot of kinks that get ironed out. You know, a lot of tricks you learn on the way.
Yes.
A lot of things you figure out maybe the hard way.
Yeah.
But you adapt. We're adaptable.
Totally.
You know, we're just a bunch of hunter-gatherers that haven't even really evolved since the time we were hunter-gatherers. Like, that's still our...
Yeah.
We are nomads. But also, too, we're all settlers, too. Like, we like to nest and, like, make a space.
But I like my nest that has wheels.
Nest on wheels.
Nest on wheels. Yeah.
Do you think that... do you ever want to own a home?
I mean, if I could own a home... I don't know if I'll ever be able to own a home. I mean, I don't really... sure.
If money was no thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'd own homes in all the dopest places. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I want to own a home in like the like traditional sense, the generic sense, but I want to like, I can see myself like being somewhere and investing my time into like a space.
Yeah. What would your non-traditional home look like?
Oh man. I've always said I wanted to live in a tree house.
Yo, that's sick.
Tree house vibes. I know I love like open spaces, lots of glass, windows. I love like heights. That's why tree houses always. I'm like up in the trees.
Yeah.
I always loved like Swiss Family Robinson and like Tarzan and George of the Jungle and all that kind of stuff. So like that's all that kind of vibes. But like, you know, I also love other places. And I love like different, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I think there would be certain things that I would like my home to have. And I also like don't really think about that because it's not really like what's on my radar right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think someday, yeah.
Are there other alternative forms of living that you would want to experience? I feel like the treehouse. Boat. Yeah.
I want to live on a boat. I would love to sail. I would love to do a sailboat living situation. I don't know anything about boats. I lived on a boat for a week out in the Galapagos off the coast of Ecuador. I studied abroad in Ecuador.
That's pretty cool.
And we were on a boat for a week, and that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did you get
loved
seasick?
it, of course. Yeah. I remember like one of the nights me and my roommate were like so sick laying in our beds, and we're just taking turns like hurling into the trash can, you know? And we were traveling in the middle of the night. We did a lot of the travels at night.
Yeah.
Like longer distances, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I got to get out of here because your room's down below. And I was like, I need fresh air. And so we went up onto the top of the deck, and it's like dark, but there's boat lights, and the stars are just insane, just out of this world. And we're both like laying on the top deck on these like benches. There's like, I think we both had trash cans with us. And we're just like staring up at the stars, and it's beautiful. There's like these beautiful white birds that are like sailing, coasting along in the, in the light of our boat, and just like playing, and it's gorgeous, and the wind is blowing, and then we're also just like heaving over the side of the boat or like and we're kind of like laughing, but also just so miserable. But it's like so beautiful. But we were just so sick.
Did you ever know a family with the last name Clue?
Clue? No, I don't think so. I don't have a clue who they are.
That was some low-hanging fruit there with that joke. There's this distinct memory that I have growing up on a boat. It was a field trip.
Okay.
And we got to go on like some boat that they used to film Pirates of the Caribbean.
The Lady Washington?
Maybe.
She was the Interceptor.
Yeah, I think it was that boat.
Yeah, I've been on that boat as well. Yeah.
Crazy. Why would you go on that boat?
My little brother had a Make-A-Wish, and he got a pirate adventure. So we got to sail on the Lady Washington down from Washington to Portland into the Pirate Festival that's in Portland.
Pirate Festival in Portland?
Oh, yeah.
How have I not heard of this?
You don't know about the Pirate Festival?
No.
There's like a lot of pirates in Portland for sure.
That sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, pirates and mermaids. Some of the pirates were married to mermaids.
Oh my God.
Yeah, these
Portland.
are like people who are like professional pirates.
They steal boats.
I mean,
maybe
so.
I had a friend living on a sailboat. She had her boat stolen.
What?
And I'm pretty sure that makes you a pirate if you steal someone's boat.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to being on the Interceptor. It must have been.
It's called the Lady Washington. Yeah, and it's the Interceptor.
I just remember being on this field trip, and I think I got seasick, which I was like so bummed about. I was like, I can't believe it. I've always wanted to be in a boat, and I'm seasick.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing this kid, Dean Clue, just thrown up over the side of the boat. I just like the image in my mind is just never left me. Dean, wherever you are, I hope you got over your
seasickness.
I hope you embraced the sea.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well, man.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy if you had known him, but you know,
no.
We finally found one connection that we didn't have. The dozens of other people that we somehow are all connected with.
Somehow all know.
Tomorrow when you see Chris, you got to tell him for me to come on this podcast because I want to bring him on.
That'd be great.
I really want to bring him on.
He's got a great voice too. I could listen to Chris talk all the time. I could
listen to Chris sing
for sure
all the time. Did you ever listen to Chris's music when it was Chris Blair?
Of course. I had like the fattest crush on him for a long time.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Maybe I did too.
Yeah.
At the very least, a crush on that voice.
I hope so. Everyone should.
Yeah, I miss that guy.
I'll tell him hi for you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Let
do.
him know.
I like because I haven't seen him in a minute, but he played a show here before COVID, and yeah, a lot of memories. Also, did he change his last name?
I love that. I'm about to ask him. Yeah, I saw that, and I was like,
I'm so confused about that.
You're not. That's not you.
Yeah,
because it was like it was in some magazine or some online forum thing, and I was like, huh?
Give me all the details tomorrow.
I'll give you all the juicy details about Chris
I'm just gonna call you just to be like, hey, I want to talk to Chris.
I'll just FaceTime you into our tattoo session.
No, actually,
FaceTime in. How about this? He gets tattooed and gets interviewed. I love podcast tattoo.
I'm actually 100% down.
All right. I'll chat with him.
That would be sweet. I was thinking about that because like my thought with like the whole like tattooing and the podcast was like, you know, I want to interview tattoo artists while they tattoo me.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking, I was like, they could also be tattooing somebody else, and like that's cool too. I mean,
yeah.
So there's these twins that I want to bring on the show.
Okay.
They are identical twins. They both tattoo.
Whoa.
They're from Germany.
Okay.
And we've talked about them tattooing me at the same time.
That's crazy.
While we do the
twin tattoos.
Yeah.
That's intense.
I'm really curious though about what it would feel like to be tattooed by two different people at the same time while trying to do an interview.
Yeah.
I also while we're just spitballing these ridiculous ideas.
I love it.
I really want to get tattooed mid rock climb.
Okay.
Like be on the face.
Right.
Halfway up.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah. Sick.
Do a quick tat. And
just
then keep
real quick.
And then keep going.
All right. So this is like multi-pitch.
Well, it doesn't have to be multi-pitch.
No. Okay.
I was thinking like on the ropes.
Wow. I don't know how you would do that. You got to have like solid.
Gotta have some good belaires.
Space. Yeah.
Like, tie me off.
Tie me up.
Tied to a tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's make your dreams come true. Let's make it happen.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
I think
we could also do, I mean, like I've done outdoor sessions.
Yeah.
I've done some outdoor sessions. Sedona was a big spot for outdoor sessions where you kind of like
cool.
scramble. I would scramble up a rock and then have like a setup and do all that.
That's cool. How do you keep it sanitary when you use something like that?
You don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
That's so bad.
Hand sanitizer.
You know, like I think you just do your best. You just do your best. It's
backpack of supplies.
Essentially, you're like, I mean, you got your backpack of all your things. You got everything like in your containers. So they're in sanitary containers. And then you just like are very careful with your process and like what goes where and what gets cleaned when and all that kind of stuff. I usually, I have a tray that I kind of like, you know, I sanitize the whole thing, and then that's my mobile like table basically.
Yeah.
And then I set up on there, and you know, you just have to be really vigilant about cleaning things and knowing what's going where and when it's considered like dirty and just careful awareness.
Yeah.
I don't know, but also like you're outside. So the person that's signing up for that also has to understand that there's like a level of a higher risk that's happening. Yeah.
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 Outdoor tattoo. I like the sound of that.
It's great. It's really fun. There's definitely other elements that like play a part in it, but I've done a lot of outdoor tattoos.
Cool.
I like doing it unless it's windy.
Do you meet a lot of tattoo artists who are also doing the same thing, just like traveling on the road, tattooing?
I've definitely met some. Yeah. Before I was even living in my van and tattooing, I just was kind of like doing it for shits and gigs at that point. And, I actually, at the circuit in Tigard, I was climbing one night and I saw this guy that had his whole leg was just blacked out. And I was like, he seems cool.
Yeah.
So I started talking to him. It turns out he's a tattoo artist. He lives in his van. So this was before I ever thought I would be a tattoo artist living in my van. And we just got to chit-chatting. And he actually was my first machine tattoo that I ever got. And we just hit it off, and he ended up coming over to my parents' house. I was like coming back from living abroad and at my parents', and I just like called my mom. I was like, I met this guy at the gym and he's gonna come to my room and tattoo me. Now I'm gonna make him dinner. And she's like, okay.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah, mom's worst nightmare probably, but
not only bringing a man back to the house, but a man who will tattoo.
Yeah. I'm like,
daughter.
no big deal, mom. Yeah, and I remember like meeting him and just being like, that's dope. Like, you can do that. You can do that, and you don't have to like work out of shops and stuff. And he did a lot of outdoor tattooing.
That is such an interesting term.
He's also a big
climber.
Sick. So like he would go and yeah. I don't know. I think I've met quite a few other people doing tattoos and van lifing since then as well. I don't think it's like that uncommon, but I mean, it's not super common either. But also like I run in those circles. So just like artists, movers, travelers, van lifers, like all that stuff. Yeah. Kind of, you know.
Does it feel weird that you're kind of stationed right now in the desert?
Super weird.
Yeah.
This is the longest I've lived anywhere, stayed anywhere since, for more than like 6 months, since probably 2016.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, super.
What does your van need?
Transmission, a new transmission. and it's got a new transmission. It's got multiple new transmissions, and they just all keep breaking.
Dang.
It's ridiculous.
Dang.
Yeah. It's like...
So it needs like a new transmission. It needs one that's not going to break.
Exactly.
Dang.
Yeah, or I just need a new van or a new vehicle, which I'm open to, but I got to like make some money first and figure out the next steps. But I'm doing well, just kind of grounded where I'm at. I'm learning things and I'm like growing in a way that I'm not really used to. I'm having to like be in community and I can't just like run away from not problems, but like, yeah, I can't just like go away and start over if I don't want to like deal with something, or I don't want to like, mainly just deal with something.
Yeah. What's the community like out in Joshua Tree? Because that's where it is, right? It's Joshua Tree?
Yeah.
Because I always...
Valley, I mean, I'm technically in Landers, but you got like, you come up, you hit like right before Palm Springs, you go up Morongo Valley, and then you hit Yucca Valley, and then you hit Joshua Tree, and then 29 Palms, and kind of like offshoots of those areas are like Landers and some other spots. So yeah, I'm out there. What was your question though?
What the community is like?
Community, a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of artists, a lot of like travelers, a lot of people that have come from, honestly, like P and Dub.
Really?
It's pretty heavy there. Whoa. With like people moving because they like the sun and they like they like the community. It's a lot of people doing like their work, their hustle, a lot of self businesses, people that work for themselves and like do art or offer some sort of experience or teach something or host space. A lot of burners, pretty like heavy burner vibes. Just like creatives, a lot of weird people, a lot of strange people.
Some more time out there.
Yeah, come hang out. I'll show you where all the fun is.
Yeah, show me around. I love J Tree.
Yeah, it's great. J Tree is
so
fun,
beautiful.
but there's like a lot beyond that.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a tourist town, but it's
I would love to see like the real.
You want some real?
I do.
I'll show you some.
Because that's the vibe that I get when I go to J Tree. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Hidden Valley and I'm gonna climb and like, I feel like a tourist. Like I'm here to, get on some rocks and
totally.
And then go back to LA.
Yeah.
But I want to actually kind of know.
Come out for a full moon. Come out and they usually do like renegades out in the desert for the full moon. I don't know. Are you like a festivaler? Like what's your relationship to that?
So
world?
Definitely new.
Okay.
To that world.
Cool.
Yeah, I love festivals. I never really went to a whole lot of music festivals, mostly because I think I always felt kind of priced out a little bit.
It's ridiculous.
I was always like, so much money. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but growing up, like I loved going to like the blues festival in Portland or like Warped Tour. It was sick because it was like $35.
Yeah, I haven't heard that
for
in a
a
while.
legit tour. But this year I've started doing more. I'm gonna be out there for Coachella because I'm
going to Coachella?
I'm working at Coachella.
What are you working?
I'm working for Google Pixel.
Whoa.
Yeah, just as a brand ambassador.
Great. Okay.
But I got to go for free and just get paid to be there. So
damn, I've never been to Coachella.
But I'm working both weekends.
Okay.
So there's the week in between where I'm just like floating.
Come hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. I will because I don't have any plans.
Great. Yeah.
So that'll be tight.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm starting to go to more festivals. Honestly, like kind of through working them. Like I worked at another music festival.
That's the key.
Rolling Loud. I worked that.
Of course.
And then I really want to go to Burning Man this year. And I feel like Schoolie was a type of festival in a way.
Yeah.
You know? There's a rave every night. There's all these people.
Yeah.
I want to be in that world more. But to be honest, I feel like I'm a little bit of a different type of van lifer because I am so based in LA.
Yeah.
Because like my life is
here,
primarily here.
Yeah.
Like this is where I do a lot of stuff. I'm wanting to break out of that more. Like my dream would be to build out a box truck.
Sick.
Have the podcast studio in the box truck.
Sick.
And just be on the road.
Yeah.
Just interviewing people on the road and, renting out this space, Starship Kairos. And I don't know, maybe if I can keep my van and rent that one out.
Sick.
That'd be my dream.
My homie Scott, who's the first one to tattoo machine tattoo me, who I met at the studio, he's got the blacked out leg.
Yeah.
He has built a few box trucks.
Sick.
I think he did one that was a tattoo studio.
What? That's so cool. Is he still in Oregon?
No, I have no idea where he is right now.
We should find this guy.
Hit him up. Yeah.
I think the box truck is the way to go.
The box truck is pretty
sick.
good.
The bus is tight, both short and long.
Yeah.
Like I would totally do a long bus.
Right.
Because I went in a bunch of them at Schoolie.
Yeah.
And it's like you're in a New York apartment. Like they're huge.
Great.
You have everything you need. Like,
yeah.
And then you could put a motorcycle on the back.
Yeah.
You could even tow a car.
Yeah.
And post up outside of town and then,
yeah.
Get in, do what you got to do. So I would do a school bus. But I think a box truck would be tight.
Box truck would be cool.
Because you can still go in the city.
It's also a little more cognito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to do a box truck at some point.
Sick.
Yeah. I want to keep building vans.
Cool.
Like
I would love to learn more and like do more of that. Because when I first was doing it, I just was like, I just need to get this thing built and like get into it and get out of here. Because COVID was crazy.
Did you watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to build?
Yeah, YouTube. And I had some serious help, I will say.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
A guy who was a regular customer at the coffee shop that I worked at that had what is it called? He had a cabinet business.
Oh, sweet.
So he had like this whole warehouse, and then I would just come in like after hours, and he had all the tools and all the things.
That's amazing.
And he knew like renovation, like home renovation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He'd never done a van before, but it was like, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know what he was doing, but he was like interested in the project.
Yeah.
And like, so I was able to like pretty much just do that with him.
That's cool.
I couldn't have done that.
That's super
by
cool.
myself. I would have just had a gutted van, and then probably would have just like, I don't know what would have had to happen.
I think that's a lot of people's stories is there's usually somebody involved who's the helper,
like pretty gung-ho,
or like a mentor, or like some kind of providing figure. Like for me, I had 2 different people who let me use their spaces and their tools.
Yeah.
One of them actually, he passed away because he was very old. He was like 92 or 93.
Whoa.
But I named my van after him. So my van's name is Earl.
Earl.
And Earl
love
let
that.
me use his tools to build out the van. Because I didn't have a space. And so it would have been very hard for me to build out that van without those workshops that people. The other guy his name was Sean Hempel. Shout out to the Hempels. Well, Sean and Crystal, they let me use their space to build out my van in Oregon. A lot of it was done in Oregon.
Nice.
But yeah, I think it's a common thread for people in that community, in our community. Like, there's somebody who kind of comes along and helps you out.
Yes, very much. Yeah, I had a lot of help. I also like didn't know the process of like buying a vehicle. You know, I like just kind of like started going and looking at things and was like, I guess I'm supposed to ask you questions, but I don't really know what questions to ask.
How much did you get your bus for, out of curiosity?
6,500, I want to say. Something like that.
Dang.
Cash.
That's a good deal.
Good deal.
That's
it was the height of COVID.
crazy.
He was asking for more. I had that much in cash. And he was like a chef who was just like totally out of work and was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life or what's happening. And I have to sell this thing. And I was like, this is what I have. And he was like, great, done.
Wow. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
For a house.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously like put more work into it. And then since the transmission, a little more has gone
that's
into
where the
it.
price goes up for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think you had to put into it to make it livable?
I'm not sure, honestly. Not that much because I
10,000, 20,000.
Oh my God, no! Like a couple grand.
What?
Like not even.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you're chilling. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't. It's not, and it wasn't really like. It's not that complex, you know. I never did solar. That was something that I really wanted to do.
Interesting.
I never did. I
What do
just
you
have
do
like
for power?
a deep cycle that charges off my alternator as I drive, and that
Nice.
like lasts for like if I don't move, it'll last for like a week.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty good.
Do you know how many amp hours of battery you have?
No,
You probably have a decent amount if you can go a week without.
probably so. Yeah, but remember also my fridge would run on that sometimes, and then sometimes not. So. When the fridge was on, I couldn't go as long, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done it pretty cheap. I'm pretty like minimal. I don't need a ton and I don't need super fanciness. I kind of like prefer the simpler things.
Yeah.
There's obviously like if I had the money, I think I would do things differently, but I've never really. Money is money, you know. I'm not rolling in dough, but I'm also like I get by and things are good and maybe someday I'll have some nicer setups or whatever, but I think also like I was so it was again, I'm not a planner, so like going into the whole van situation, bus life, building out like all of that, I didn't even know that I was gonna like do it and it was gonna be a thing for this long. Like it was just kind of something that I was seeing if it would work and maybe I would do it for a little bit and it would sustain me like even through COVID and then things would change. But I just it worked. Like it worked so good. And so I also feel like it's something that is just going to like continue to grow and change. Like I'm not like married to the idea of my first van like being the thing that I am like investing long term into. Like I kind of didn't really want it to be either. Like I didn't want it to be something that I like spent a shit ton of money on and then invested all this time and energy into and then was just like, oh, I'm just doing it for a year and then I'm done. So part of it is that like trial period of like, can I even live like this? Like, do I want to live like this? And I've found it to be very, she's like, I'm done. I found it to be like very nice because it's like, what's the words I'm thinking? It's like not as hard of a commitment. It can change and I'm not super attached. I mean, I'm attached to it in the sense that now I've had all these adventures with it and I've lived in it and it's my home and I've like curated it to look how I want and all those things. But I'm also okay with like letting that go and like moving on to the next thing. Yeah. But that's also the boat. Yeah. That's also just like a part of going through life, I think, is just letting the natural phases of stuff come as they need to. Yeah. Yeah.
You think you'll be in the van for a while longer or just taking it day by day?
Day by day, yeah. I mean, I would like to. I would totally like to be mobile for as long as like feels right and practical in some way or another, even if that looks like a little bit more grounding for a certain season, or kind of like traveling into different areas more seasonally. But yeah, I can't imagine like staying in one place for too long. There's places that now that the high desert, it's home for now. And it feels like home, and it's probably always going to be one of my homes.
Yeah.
But I also have homes all over the world, and that's like part of who I am and part of like what I love doing. And traveling's just, it's just like been such a big part. I'm sorry, she just drooled all over your table. She's got big lips,
She's got some chops.
Yeah.
Man. This is it's been a blast.
It's been a good time.
It's so funny how this all came about. Like, the world works in such a funny way. Like,
the Lord works in mysterious ways. He truly does.
There's definitely
I'm sorry
some.
If that was tricky. Oh my God, Opal, stop!
Oh, she eating part of the.
No, you can't do that.
Oh man.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. It's just, some character on the walls.
My dragon's just tearing apart your walls.
Slowly devouring the studio.
Opal, what do you think?
Opal, do you have any words for the podcast? Any
insight? Do you want to talk about our journeys, our travels? Opal's seen a lot of things.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, Opal was supposed to not exist, so she gets to exist and see all the things that I get to see.
How old is she?
She is 2. She'll be 3 August of this year.
Aw, still a pup.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Well, is there any closing thoughts? Any advice you would give to aspiring tattoo artist, someone who's wanting to jump into the van life, someone who's wanting to travel the world?
I think the biggest thing is just doing the things that you want to do. And even if it's like little bits at a time, like a dream is never gonna like just happen overnight. It has a path and a journey, just like we all do. And I think that like, if I've learned anything from where I am today compared to like where I was 2 years ago or whatever, I didn't know how exactly it was going to look or what it was going to look like or what any of it was going to mean or be. But I knew like little specific things that I know I wanted in my life, and I wanted to like feel, and I wanted to have these certain aspects. And I just kind of like kept doing the things that made me feel those ways, or like aligned with the things that felt right and were right for me in that time, and expressed myself in the ways that I did, and like did my art even when it was not, even if people like weren't paying for it. It was just like I just continued to like do the things, and as I continued to do the things, everything else fell into place, and in never a way that I could have ever imagined or planned for anyways. So yeah, and just like as those things keep expanding, that's like how I found myself in more performance art, and like in the fire world and in the festival world, just like continuing to go to those things and do those things and practice that and express in that way. And the more you do that, the more it's like recognized, I guess. And then all of a sudden people are paying you for art and you're like living on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's inspiring. I think that's a powerful message. Just doing the things that make you happy and following that thread.
Yeah. Yeah. And eventually, like, somehow you're going to find your way in something that's it's going to sustain that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that good things tend to follow the things that when you're passionate about something and you're doing the thing you love, there's an energy about that that's contagious, and people can sense that, as opposed to if you're doing something that your heart's not in.
Yeah.
People can also sense that too.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of an irony that for whatever reason we tell ourselves, like we give ourselves these narratives of like why we can't do something.
Yeah.
Why we can't do the thing that is the thing that like fills us up.
Yeah.
I think that the irony is that when we do those things, we actually have more success, but also just overall well-being.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not going to ever like learn anything or figure out if you can do anything unless you try it.
Yeah.
So just try and do something.
I also
just
like
anything.
The way that you described yourself too is expanding.
Always expanding, expansion.
I think that's an interesting way of framing it, because we all have these different starting points. And like maybe you were put in a box like as a kid, because we're all put in different boxes.
Yeah.
But that idea of being able to expand that box.
Yeah.
And all the things that fit into that box.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to be just a sports person.
Yeah.
You don't have to be just an artist.
Yeah. Yeah. You can take, and you can also like let things die too. I've had to like learn that as well, of like adding new things to the box, adding new things to like the repertoire because you love it and it makes you happy and it like feels right and good. And then like sometimes those things stop serving you and you have to like, that doesn't mean that that's like something that like it's still part of your story. It still made you where you are today.
Totally.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be a part of like what is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like kind of like gracefully letting those things pass through your life and like accepting them for those times and then letting them go and letting the other things in, and also keeping certain things with you and just always letting those things be something that are a part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expansion.
Well, and the one thing that's a part of you that will always be with you that tells that story are the tattoos that you get along the way.
Totally. Yeah.
That's part of the story. It's the storyboard of your life, you know?
I could storyboard my tattoos for you.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to go over here. We can swap some tattoo stories.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much
for
coming out to LA. Being on the show is so crazy.
So wild.
How many similarities that we have from our past world
and just
community.
Never knew each other.
Or maybe we did. I don't know. Maybe we were at Tillicum together.
Probably so. Did you go the homeschooled week or what?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I wasn't homeschooled, but...
But you were private schooled.
So maybe. It's close.
That's how I know Greg Deneze.
I think...
He was always there, homeschooled week.
It's so possible.
Were you ever at camp with him?
I think I went for like weekend camps.
Only weekends. Okay. It was weeks.
Well,
it was weekdays. Day camp.
Day camp. I never did like an overnight camp.
You never did hack?
No, what's that?
High adventure camp. It was like when you were in middle school
I think
and
I
you
heard
could
about
stay
that.
overnight.
Yeah, I never stayed overnight at Tillicum. But I definitely did like the day camps during the summer.
Cool. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So, oh my God. Okay, so much more to talk about. It's probably stuff that should be offline. And other people are like, I don't care about this.
They're like, we don't care. We don't know what this is.
We don't know your personal life. Oh, man. Okay, well, thank you so much. Where can people find your work, find your tattoos, find your story? What should people look for?
So Instagram, mostly, pretty much all Instagram. Stardust Tattoos is my tattoo page. My personal page is like pretty much Opal and I's adventures and kind of day-to-day stuff. And that is under Miss Mariah. And then Silas, the person that connected us, made a beautiful piece. He traveled with me for like a week in the van and made a piece kind of about how I found tattooing and like
sweet.
my travels and all that kind of stuff. And that's like maybe a 12-ish minute little like short documentary film. And that's on Vimeo. And that's probably like in all my, the bios and stuff on Instagram. So you can find that. And that's like a little bit more, that's also just like a cool aesthetic thing. It's a beautiful piece of art that he did. So
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. And that's pretty much it.
Right on. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. I can't wait to get up to Joshua Tree and hang out and actually see that, see the real out there.
The real.
And then we'll see about getting Chris on the show.
Oh, yeah. I'll send him the message tomorrow.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Best of luck.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Spring Street Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, sign up for the Patreon to receive exclusive behind-the-scenes content and check out the sponsor links in the description.